Chapter 154. At the east gate of West Prefecture Immortal City, in front of Su Yiling stood hundreds of silver-armored guards. These silver-armored guards were all transformed from the dragon race. Fine skin and tender flesh, strong breath. This is really the best of the human race. This taste must be good. Only so big, it's not enough for us to divide. Don't even think about it. She is the commander's. A group of silver-armored guards looked at Su Yiling, their eyes flashing as if seeing a piece of delicious food. What do you want to do? Su Yiling looked fearful and kept retreating. Commander, let me capture this delicious food and offer it to you. A silver-armored guard stood up and said, Good. Finish it quickly. We still have to chase those ants. Yes, Commander. After speaking, the silver-armored guard licked his lips and rushed straight to Su Yiling. Su Yiling screamed in fright, squatting on the ground, shivering. Hee. A cruel smile appeared on the silver-armored guard's face. He stretched out his claws, aimed at Su Yiling's head, and grabbed it down. How could an Ascendant Realm little doll resist this claw of his? In the next second, he could see Su Yiling's head burst, and she died on the spot. However, ding, a sound of metal clashing sounded. The silver-armored guard looked down at his claws with a face of disbelief. The bones of the claws were broken, and there was a burst of pain. He was about to scream. Stab! The sound of a sword piercing flesh and blood sounded. The silver-armored guard's neck was directly twisted and deformed, and Su Yiling grabbed it and burst it, blood spurting wildly. Plop! His body fell straight down, turned into a 100-meter-long silver dragon, twitched a few times, and then there was no movement. One move, a tragic death. Such a scene strongly stimulated the eyes of the other silver-armored guards. As a dragon, they were very clear about how strong the physical body was. An ant-like human race actually killed a silver dragon with his bare hands? If they didn't see it with their own eyes, who would dare to believe it? How strong was this human cultivator's physical body? Thinking about it, in the eyes of many silver dragons, there was a look of fear. The commander's face also changed slightly, pointing to Su Yiling, Go. With a command, nearly 100 silver-armored guards rushed straight to Su Yiling like tigers down the mountain. Su Yiling snorted coldly and did not dodge. He fought with nearly 100 silver-armored guards. Ding! The sound of metal colliding rang out continuously. When the silver-armored guards hit her, it was as if they were hitting metal and did not cause any damage to her. On the other hand, the silver-armored guards were injured by the recoil. After a while, everyone, return to your original forms and attack with all your might. The commander shouted, and the silver-armored guards moved together. Kacha! The sound of bones rubbing against each other could be heard. The silver-armored guards' bodies changed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, they turned into silver dragons. Boom! His tail wriggled in the sky, creating layers of air waves. Explosions rang out continuously, forming shock waves that splashed in all directions. The houses below couldn't withstand the shock waves at all and quickly exploded. Phew! All the silver dragons aimed at Su Yiling and spat out nearly 100 dragon breaths. Su Yiling raised the corner of her mouth, took out the painting scroll, and spread it over her head. Phew! Ice-cold Taoist rhymes quickly surged out. The surrounding temperature dropped rapidly. The extreme cold completely enveloped the dragon breath, turning it into threads of ice that scattered in all directions. Taoist rhymes? Such a terrifying Taoist rhymes? Who drew this? It's so scary. When did the human race have such an immortal? The commander's face changed dramatically, and his face was full of disbelief. Cold sweat ran down his head, and he gave a loud roar. Attack with all your might. All the silver dragons moved rapidly, constantly spitting out dragon breaths to resist the power of freezing. The ice Tao rhymes came out continuously, and the dragon breath quickly froze. The ice Tao rhymes and the dragon breath formed a stalemate, and for a while, no one could do anything to the other. When the commander saw this scene, the corner of his mouth raised. He walked towards Su Yiling step by step, his face full of cold, killing intent. Little doll, dare to kill my clan, die for me. After speaking, the commander turned into a silver dragon, 200 meters long, and his body exuded the aura of a five-step half-immortal. The five claws exuded a metallic luster, breathtaking. A pressure surged from the commander, pressing Su Yiling to the point that she could not breathe smoothly. Seeing this scene, Su Yiling's face changed slightly. Without thinking about it, she took out another painting scroll from her arms. As soon as this thing came out, the commander's scalp exploded, and he took 2 steps back. Could it be that she still has that kind of painting? This is impossible. This kind of powerful treasure, even an immortal, needs to work hard and use countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures to draw it. How can there be another one? It seems that this little girl wants to lie to me and scare me away. I was actually scared by a little doll. If this gets out, wouldn't I be laughed to death? The commander shook his head secretly, stretched out his sharp claws, and pressed straight down from the sky. The huge claws covered the sky and the sun, terrifying and boundless. The air exploded constantly. So scary. Su Yiling quickly spread out the painting scroll in her hand. There was a wind sound. In the painting scroll, the sad, bleak, and death breath came to the face. All kinds of Tao rhymes, like a tsunami, rushed straight to the commander. This is impossible. No. The commander let out a roar of unwillingness. As soon as his voice sounded, it stopped abruptly. A gust of wind passed. The flesh and blood on the commander's body disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, only a skeleton was left. Boom! Without the support of a mortal power, the skeleton fell directly to the ground and broke apart. In the end, it exploded into powder, and after the wind blew, there was nothing left. Until death, he did not let out a scream. Such a scene strongly stimulated the nerves of the other silver dragons. Endless fear spread all over their bodies. Their bodies trembled involuntarily. At this moment, they had the intention to retreat, and there was no longer any fighting spirit. Immediately afterward, a silver dragon moved, turned into a silver light, and soared into the sky. With a dragon taking the lead, there would be dragons following. Nearly 100 silver dragons all moved. There was fear written on each silver dragon's face, and they flew to the sky. However, a breeze blew. Hundreds of silver dragons' bodies seemed to be imprisoned, motionless. Immediately afterward, the flesh and blood on their bodies disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, they turned into nearly 100 white bones, falling from the sky. Boom! The explosions were continuous. All the skeletons collapsed into powder and disappeared on the spot. Seeing this scene, Su Yiling's eyes widened, and her face was shocked. She looked at the painting scroll in front of her, full of disbelief. The might of this attack was too strong. The young master's means were really unimaginable. I haven't even had fun yet, and they're all dead. I feel like I'm getting better and better at acting. Su Yiling showed a smirk and put the 2 paintings into her arms as treasures, keeping them close to her body. Buzz! Suddenly a vibration sounded. Taking out the communication jade slip and seeing the message above, Su Yiling's eyes lit up. Dragon General? I'll go and see. Chapter 155. Can this broken hatchet unleash such a terrifying attack? The rough man picked up the hatchet and looked around, his face full of doubt. Even after exhausting all his methods, he was still unable to find any clues from the hatchet. From the looks of it, it was just an ordinary weapon, not worth mentioning. The next second, the rough man's scalp went numb, and he hurriedly threw the hatchet out of his hand. However, it was as if the hatchet had grown out of his palm, and he could not shake it off no matter how hard he tried. The power in the rough man's body was quickly flowing into the hatchet. Devour. The rugged man's pupils shrank. He reacted quickly and chopped off his hand in an instant. What is this thing? It can actually devour my power? In just a single breath of time, a portion of my strength was actually devoured by it. Damn it! The rugged man looked at the chopper on the ground, his face full of anger. You deliberately let me take away the hatchet so that you could devour my power. Even if I devoured you, I wouldn't be able to make up for it. The rough man walked toward Chun Dao Ming step by step. On his body, he exuded a monstrous dragon's might, and Chun Dao Ming was unable to move at all. Come back. Chun Dao Ming looked at the hatchet and whispered. Buzz. The hatchet vibrated wildly, turned into a stream of light, and instantly appeared in Chun Dao Ming's hand. Gotcha! The pressure in the surroundings shattered with a sound. Chun Dao Ming regained his freedom. Without any hesitation, Chun Dao Ming poured all his strength into the hatchet. Then, he aimed at the rugged man and used the heaven-breaking strike. Phew! The surroundings instantly fell into darkness. A ray of light quickly arrived and flew toward the center of the burly man's brows. It was so fast that even the rugged man couldn't react in time. Pussy! The sound of sword piercing into flesh rang out. Traces of blood seeped out from the center of the rugged man's brows. He wiped it with his hand and looked at the scarlet stain on his hand. His calm face instantly contorted. You can actually hurt me? How dare you hurt me? The rugged man took a step forward, creating layers of ripples. He instantly appeared in front of Chun Dao Ming and punched out. Boom! With a loud noise, Chun Dao Ming's body flew out. Bang! Bang! Wherever it went, houses collapsed and dust rose into the sky. He flew 1,000 meters and crashed into the city wall. Boom! The city wall cracked and collapsed. Pooh! Chun Dao Ming spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and struggled repeatedly, but he could not get up. He looked at the rugged man with fear. His strongest move only caused him to bleed a few drops of blood. This dragon general was too strong. This was troublesome. The rough man looked at Chun Dao Ming, and his face changed slightly, not dead. His physical body is indeed strong enough to be on par with my clan. However, not even the 9th immortal of the human race can save you today. Just as he finished speaking. Really? A sound rang out. Phew! An icy aura descended from the sky and enveloped the boorish man. Mu Bing, dressed in blue, descended from the sky like a fairy. Behind her, the 4 ancestors of the Mu family followed closely. She stood in midair, looking at the rugged man with a calm expression. Her expression was like that of a goddess who controlled the world. Dragon General? The other side. 3 figures slowly walked over. The 3 of them were Luo Luyan, Su Yiling, and Wenrenshi. Looking at Chun Dao Ming's injury, Luo Luyan said, Fellow Daoist Chun, you step aside and rest. Leave the rest to us. Okay. Chun Dao Ming struggled to stand up and step back. The rough man looked at these people, his face showing a trace of disdain. Just based on you. The words were not finished. Luo Luyan and Su Yiling moved at the same time, and the 7 scrolls flew up at the same time. Buzz! There was a sound of vibration. The terrifying Dao rhyme, like a tsunami, rushed in from all directions. Seeing this scene, the rough man's face changed dramatically. Impossible! This is absolutely impossible. How could a little human have so many treasures? The rough man used his movement technique and fled frantically. It was just too late. Howl! A trembling roar sounded. The shocking Dao rhyme covered the rough man in the blink of an eye. Damn it! The rough man gritted his teeth and roared, but he was trapped in a quagmire, and it was extremely difficult to move a finger. You want to trap this seat with just this break for me? The rough man's body skyrocketed, making a cracking sound. In the blink of an eye, he transformed into a 1,000-meter-long dragon. Each scale was the size of a roof, and that kind of indestructible momentum rushed out. Gotcha! A sound like the cracking of an eggshell sounded. The Dao rhyme that enveloped the dragon's body instantly collapsed. Howl! The dragon roared to the sky. The dragon roar shook the 9 heavens and 10 earths, spreading in all directions. Oh! A mass of white light, sizzling, was spat out by the dragon. In the white light, it contained the power to destroy heaven and earth, aimed at Su Yiling and Su Yiling, and blasted over. Seeing this scene, Luo Luyan and Su Yiling's scalp exploded and hurriedly used their movement technique. It's just, was it too late? Boom! A loud noise shook the entire West Prefecture Immortal City. The attics burst apart one after another. Buzz! A shockwave swept in all directions. Wherever it went, the dust was lifted up layer by layer. Smoke and dust filled the sky, shrouding all around. When the smoke and dust dissipated, a huge pit with a depth of 100 meters appeared on the ground. In the huge pit, a giant dragon lay there, and a lot of scales on its body fell off. The dragon struggled to stand up, looked up at the sky, and couldn't help but shrink his pupils, only to see, in the sky, Luo Luyin and the others stood beside Mu Bing, intact. Not a trace of injury was left. Higher in the sky, a divine dragon phantom hovered there, looking at the dragon coldly. Divine dragon, the dragon's scalp exploded, full of shock. I don't know what the senior is here for. The dragon prostrated his head to show respect. However, the sky divine dragon didn't even look at him, his posture arrogant. The dragon's eyes stared at the divine dragon phantom, his face full of anger. It turned out to be just a remnant soul. In that case, this seat will swallow you. See if you still dare to be arrogant. After saying that, the dragon opened his mouth and spat hard. A white bead appeared in the sky. At this moment, heaven and earth instantly changed color. In the whole sky, only this white bead could be seen. Dragon Ball! A cry of alarm sounded. What? He actually cultivated a Dragon Ball. This is troublesome. We're going to make a move. At this time, Mu Ao and the others stood up with a cautious face. Collect. Mu Bing waved her right hand, and the sky divine dragon phantom changed rapidly, turned into a statue, and returned to Mu Bing's hand. You ants, thank you so much for sending me a wisp of dragon soul. As long as I swallow it, I will definitely be able to break through the immortal realm. At that time, do I still need to fear anyone? Laughter sounded. It reverberated between heaven and earth. On the dragon's body, white light flourished. Wisps of white light, from its mouth, rushed to the Dragon Ball. Buzz, the Dragon Ball exuded the power to destroy everything, aimed at everyone, and blasted over. Chapter 156. Let's do it! Mu Ao waved his hand and led the Mu family ancestor straight to the dragon bead. Buzz! Each of them made a gesture with both hands and muttered words in their mouths. A series of ancient imprints emerged in their hands. Red, yellow, and blue intertwined, spinning rapidly in Mu Ao's hands, getting bigger and bigger. Finally, it formed a colorful ancient array that covered half of the sky. Buzz! The ancient array kept shaking, and the waves of air whistled out. The surrounding air seemed to be unable to stand this pressure and was constantly shaking. Boom! The earth-shattering explosion sound kept ringing out. Boom! A loud noise that could destroy the sky and earth. The dragon flame cage that enveloped the sky above the West Prefecture immortal city instantly collapsed. In the sky, hundreds of fire dragons, their bodies burst into pieces and disappeared on the spot. Go! Mu Ao pointed with his right hand. The greater ray pressed down from the sky. In the blink of an eye, it pressed on the dragon bead. Boom! The dragon bead trembled wildly, as if it was about to explode. Howl! The giant dragon gritted its teeth and roared, as if crazy. The white light on its body, like a burst cloth flowing backward, flew rapidly to the dragon bead. Buzz! The dragon bead seemed to be unable to stand the power of the great array and trembled wildly. The pressure of the great array was like a tsunami, layer upon layer, constantly pressing down. Every time it shook, the pressure would double. Boom! The giant dragon's body fell to the ground uncontrollably, exploding into a cloud of dust. The dragon bead also followed it to the ground and sank into the deep soil. Boom! A muffled sound came from underground. With the giant dragon as the center, the ground was blown up and rose, spreading in all directions. The sky full of dust, rising into the sky. The shock waves spread rapidly, and everything around was blasted into powder. The entire West Prefecture mortal city was directly moved to the ground. Even the stargazing tower was blown to pieces and disappeared on the spot. The power of the dragon bead was so terrifying. When everything calmed down, A giant pit with a depth of hundreds of meters appeared in front of everyone. The size of the giant pit was enough to cover the entire West Prefecture Immortal City, like a waterless lake. Inside the giant pit, a gigantic white dragon was lying inside. The scales on its body disappeared. Its whole body was covered with scars, and it looked terrible. How? It widened its eyes and stared at Mu-Ao and the others. Who are you? Oof. Mu-Ao coldly snorted. This old man is Mu-Ao. What? It's you? There was a hint of fear in the dragon's eyes. Obviously, he had heard of Mu-Ao's name. Humph! A puny dragon clan dares to come to my human clan and massacre a city? You deserve to die. The four ancestors of the Mu family looked at the giant dragon. Their cold, killing intent was not concealed. Deserve to be killed? A trace of contempt appeared in the dragon's eyes. You? Do you dare? Mu-Ao didn't say anything, just grabbed with his right hand. Phew! Boundless spiritual energy rushed into his palm. Buzz, a white spear of light quickly took shape. Dragon-slaying spear? You dare! The giant dragon's pupils constricted, and its expression changed drastically. His body struggled madly, but his injuries were too severe, and he couldn't move at all. Buzz, heaven and earth trembled as the white spear was hurled down, just as it was about to pierce into the dragon's forehead at this moment. Phew! 3 figures instantly appeared in front of the giant dragon. The person in the lead was Chi-Rome. The 3 of them stretched out their right hands at the same time, mobilized their immortal power, and blasted forward. 3 beams of light converged together, aimed at the white spear, and collided with it. Boom! The air trembled, and a low explosion sounded. Kacha! The white spear cracked a little. Finally, it collapsed into powder. 3 dragon generals? Mu-Ao's expression changed slightly. The other 3 ancestors' faces also changed drastically, and they secretly said that it was not good. Just now, dealing with a dragon general had already consumed nearly half of their strength. Dealing with another one could barely do it. It was impossible to deal with 3 at the same time. Moreover, these 3 dragon generals were clearly much stronger than the others. Any one of them couldn't be dealt with. Trouble. You guys run. Mu-Ao looked at Luo Luyin and the others and sent out a divine sense voice transmission. Luo Luyin and the others nodded, and without any hesitation, hurriedly retreated. However, boom! They hit a transparent barrier and almost fell to the ground. This is the Dragon Clan Immortal Trap Array. Not good. We're trapped. The strength of the 4 of us can't break it at all. This is trouble. The faces of the Mu family's 4 ancestors were full of fear. Ancestor, don't worry. The young master calculates everything. We just need to go all out. Mu Bing said. Calculates everything? Go all out? Chi-Rome almost laughed out loud when he heard this. He was the one who calculates everything, okay? When he learned that there was a divine dragon remnant soul, he secretly set up the Immortal Trap Array with the other 2 dragon generals. Not to mention them. Even if it was a real immortal, they would be trapped here and unable to escape. For all this, the 5th brother's dragon core exploded, and he would never be able to become an immortal dragon. However, to be able to obtain the divine dragon remnant soul, it was worth it. Second brother, it was the 4 of them who beat me like this. You have to avenge me. Also on that ant, there's a divine dragon remnant soul. We must seize it. The giant dragon roared again and again, roaring nonstop. Hearing this, the corner of Chi-Rome's mouth raised slightly. 5th brother, rest assured. After saying that, he took the 2 dragon generals and rushed straight to the Mu family's 4 ancestors. Humph! The Mu family's 4 ancestors snorted coldly and also pounced on the 3 of them. For a while, the 2 sides came and went, and no one could do anything to the other. Boom! The sound of the air explosion was deafening. Boundless waves of air, sprinkling toward heaven and earth. The ground was lifted again. Dust soared into the sky, enveloping the entire West Prefecture Immortal City. As the smoke and soil rubbed, electric arcs exploded, sizzling. 7 figures kept shuttling through the dust. This battle lasted for a full hour. Boom! A loud noise that shook the sky. The two sides immediately separated. They stood high in the sky, looking at each other. The faces of the Mu family's 4 ancestors were full of fear. What can we do? They haven't changed into their original bodies yet, and they're already suppressing us. There's no way. We can only fight. If we don't kill them, we can't break the array. Okay. After some discussion, the Mu family's 4 ancestors made a decision. On the other side, second brother, let's change into our original bodies, in case of accidents. Okay. The 3 dragon generals' bodies changed rapidly. In the blink of an eye, they turned into 3 giant dragons that were 1,000 meters long. Standing proudly in the sky, their bodies emitted an irresistible aura. At first sight, it made people's hearts tremble with fear. How? The 3 giant dragons let out a dragon roar, shaking the heavens and shaking the earth, terrifying beyond compare. Who? The 3 dragon breaths, aimed at the Mu family's 4 ancestors, pounced over. The terrifying pressure spread all around from the dragon breath, pressing the Mu family's 4 ancestors' faces to change drastically. We haven't recovered in the end. We're not their opponents at all. It's over. We can't complete the godly cunning immortals' entrustment. The faces of the Mu family's 4 ancestors were full of unwillingness. They let out a roar, frantically mobilizing their Dantian's immortal power to form a shield, enveloping their whole body. Hee, with just this, you want to block our dragon breath. Die. Chi-Rong's face was full of sneers. Watching, the 3 dragon breaths blasted on the Mu family's 4 ancestors. At this time, a sudden change occurred. Chapter 157. Next to the ghost dragon pool, Sun Hao and Huang Ruming picked up the stool and sat down directly. 2 sets of fishing rods, one from the system and one made by himself. Young master, how can I catch fish? Huang Ruming asked. It's very simple. Just throw the fishing hook and wait quietly. Sun Hao said. Huang Ruming was taken aback. Young master, don't you need to spread the bait? That's the fishing method of ordinary people. My hook is made of special materials. In the eyes of the fish, it's a delicious dish, and it will rush up desperately. Sun Hao said. Really? Huang Ruming's eyes lit up. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can try. Sun Hao said. All right. He threw the hook, and gradually, layers of ripples appeared. The fish hook gradually disappeared into the water. However, after waiting for an hour, he still didn't catch anything. Sun Hao frowned slightly when he saw this scene. That shouldn't be the case. Logically speaking, he should have caught a fish in at most 10 minutes. Are there no fish down there? Then how did I manage to fish out the eel last time? Young master, there are no longer any dragons in this ghost dragon lake. I'm afraid ordinary fish won't bite this kind of hook at all. Sigh, it's all because I'm too weak. Otherwise, I could have helped the young master catch a dragon. Huang Ruming looked at Sun Hao with an apologetic face. Let me try. I don't believe it. After speaking, Sun Hao took out the fishing rod and threw it directly into the water. Big guy, come me. Following this sound, the surface of the water shook and rippled. After the hook entered the water, it disappeared. It was as if he had entered another time and space. Seeing this scene, Huang Ruming's pupils constricted and her eyes widened. This is the fishing Great Tao. Young master knows the Great Tao of fishing. The fishing Great Tao was a supreme Great Tao that was extremely difficult to comprehend. Legend had it that when one comprehended the fishing Great Tao to greater mastery, their fishing hooks will be able to enter another dimension and catch what they wanted. It could even fish out karma. It was incomparably terrifying. This kind of supreme Great Tao, the young master has actually grasped it to great success. Huang Ruming looked at Sun Hao with a face full of worship. Above the West Prefecture Immortal City, Die. The 3 giant dragons spat out 3 dragon breaths, aimed at the Mu family's 4 ancestors, and blasted over. The dragon breath was about to hit the 4 of them. At this moment, chirp! A phoenix cry rang out. An ice phoenix covered half the sky, gently flapping its wings. Wherever the cold wind passed, everything was frozen in place. The 3 dragon breaths instantly froze and fell to the ground, shattering into pieces of ice. Ice Phoenix! The 3 dragons looked at the Ice Phoenix in the sky with a hint of fear on their faces. Attack! The 3 enormous dragons soared into the sky and surrounded the Ice Phoenix, opening their mouths and spitting out dragon breaths. On top of the Ice Phoenix, Mu Bing held her immortal sword and stared coldly at the 3 dragons. She waved her right hand. Gee! The Ice Phoenix threw its head back and let out a cry, flapping its wings. Phew! The icy cold chi surged in all directions. The dragon breath was frozen and cracked, falling to the ground. An ice elemental shield formed around the Ice Phoenix, blocking everything in its path. Second brother, if this goes on, we won't be able to hurt her. Use that move. All right. The 3 giant dragons' figures flickered and gathered together. Their bodies intertwined, and the 3 powers fused together and began to spin rapidly. From afar, it looked like a wind drill, carrying with it the power to drill through all things as it hurtled toward the Ice Phoenix. Boom! The surrounding space trembled violently, and the sound of explosions rang out continuously. Boundless waves of air swept in all directions, blasting the dust below into the sky again. The entire world was shrouded in dust. The bodies of the 4 ancestors of the Mu family seemed to be carried away by the waves of air, rubbing with the dust, provoking scars. Boom! The shields on Luo, Luyin, and the others burst in the first moment, and their bodies flew out like broken kites. Pooh! A rain of blood sprinkled down from the sky, and it took a lot of strength to stabilize their bodies. Seeing this scene, Mu Bing's expression changed slightly. Gather! Mu Bing shouted softly. Gee! The Ice Phoenix cried to the sky, spitting out a stream of ice elemental energy, forming an ice crystal ball, standing in front of it. Gotcha! The space seemed to be unable to withstand this kind of power, and web-like patterns spread all over the place. In the ice crystal ball, there were streaks of lightning tribulation light contained within, emitting the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. Go! Mu Bing gave a low shout and integrated the power of the ice crystal ball into the immortal sword. Swish! The immortal sword flashed and instantly flew out. In the blink of an eye, it collided with the 3 giant dragons. Boom! A dull sound reverberated through the sky. The sky burst open like a mirror, and cracks spread rapidly around. In the blink of an eye, it wrapped the 3 giant dragons. Boom! Boom! Like a series of cannons, it exploded on the 3 giant dragons. Their bodies, like broken kites, smashed directly into the ground. Boom! Boom! The ground exploded again. Dust shrouded in all directions. Everything returned to silence. How did Little Bing become so powerful? When Renshir murmured, "That's the Ice Phoenix spirit root. It would be great if I could get a spirit root too." Su Yiling clenched her small fists, and the light in her eyes flickered. Amazing. I'm going to work hard. Chen Daoming's face was firm. Little Bing, your talent, I am far from comparable. Luo Luyin nodded secretly. The Mu family's 4 ancestors were completely stunned in place, revealing a look of disbelief. She actually defeated the 3 dragon generals? Was this a dream? They looked at Mu Bing, their faces full of shock. They saw Mu Bing standing in the sky, holding her chest with her hand, her face pale. The blow just now had already hollowed out her body. Now, there was no power to fight at all. Fortunately, the 3 dragons were defeated. Young master, what you told me to do has been completed. Mu Bing looked in the direction of the great demon mountain, and the corner of her mouth raised a smile. Suddenly, a sense of dizziness struck, and Mu Bing held her head as if she was about to fall to the ground. Little Bing, Luo Luyin flew over quickly and supported Mu Bing. I'm fine, it's just that my immortal power is exhausted. Mu Bing waved her hand, indicating that she was fine. You, what a monster. Only at the 10th step of the Ascendant Realm, you actually defeated 3 9-step half-immortal realm dragon generals. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, who would believe it? Luo Luyin said. These words just finished. Howl! 3 dragon roars resounded through heaven and earth. Damn it, damnable ant. You've thoroughly infuriated me. Today, if I don't peel off your soul, it will be difficult to resolve this seat's hatred. The 3 giant dragons flew up. In an instant, they surrounded Mu Bing and the other woman, who, without any hesitation, they spat out the dragon balls at the first moment. 3 dragon balls, 3 different colors. They entwined and circled each other. The terrifying power multiplied at an extreme speed. Above the dragon balls, the shocking pressure was like the Milky Way sprinkling in all directions. At this moment, everyone seemed to be stuck in a quagmire, unable to move. A few ants die. A roar resounded in everyone's mind. Mu Bing and Luo Luyin stood in place, the corners of their mouths slightly raised, without the slightest panic. The faces of the Mu family's 4 ancestors changed drastically, struggling frantically. However, there was no effect. It's over. Chapter 158. Ants die. Qi Rong spat out the human language, controlling the 3 dragon balls and pouncing straight toward Mu Bing and the 2 girls. Everything around them seemed to be imprisoned. Mu Bing and the 2 girls couldn't move at all. No! When the 4 ancestors of the Mu family saw this scene, they let out an unwilling cry. The power of the 4 people had been exhausted and couldn't struggle at all. The Mu family finally produced a monster, and they were actually going to be destroyed here. They were unwilling. If they could, they would rather be the ones to die, seeing that the Dragon Balls were about to blast Mu Bing and the 2 girls into powder. At this time, buzz! In the sky, there were layers of ripples. A fishhook fell from the sky and landed on the immortal trap array. Gotcha! The immortal trap array instantly broke apart. What is this? Qi Rong looked at the sky with a puzzled face. He stared at the fishhook and used thousands of secret methods. But even after exhausting all methods, he couldn't see any clues. This is... The 3 giant dragons looked puzzled and stared blankly at this scene. The young master has come to save us? Mu Bing and the 2 girls looked at this fish hook, their eyes flickering. Now, the shackles have been untied. The 2 of them looked at the 4 giant dragons on the ground, their faces full of contemptuous smiles. The speed of the fish hook did not slow down, and it quickly went down. In an instant, it fell on the 3 dragon balls. Buzz! The dragon balls vibrated. Then, gotcha! A sound like an eggshell cracking sounded. The power of the Dragon Ball's convergence instantly collapsed. The light on the 3 Dragon Balls all dissipated. Such a scene directly scared the 4 giant dragons silly in place. Their eyes widened, and the corners of their mouths kept twitching as if they had seen the most terrifying thing in the world. How is this possible? The 4 giant dragons' bodies trembled, and cold sweat flowed. Who is it? Who the hell is it? Get the hell out here. Pretending to be mysterious, what kind of hero are you? If you have the guts, come out and fight head-on. Qi Rong let out bursts of roars, his voice like rushing thunder, rolling out. That kind of unwillingness and anger was contained in it. However, the only response he got was silence. Other than that, there was the fish hook that kept moving downwards. Second brother, our Dragon Balls are on the verge of shattering. At this moment, a voice pulled Qi Rong back to reality. Boom! Qi Rong spat out a mouthful of blood, as if he had been struck in the chest. The Dragon Ball was the source of a dragon's power. Without the Dragon Ball, one would never be able to become an immortal dragon. Moreover, his strength would plummet by 90%. Qi Rong's complexion changed dramatically when he saw his dragon pearl trembling crazily. No, a cry of unwillingness rang out. Immediately after, bang, 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 3 explosions rang out. The 3 Dragon Balls cracked and exploded into powder. No! 3 roars shook the heavens and cracked the earth, filled with unwillingness. The strength of the 3 giant dragons was rapidly retreating. The hook didn't stop there. It continued to go down. The 4 dragons gradually regained their composure. Second brother, is there an immortal here? Hearing this, Qi Rong's scalp went numb, and all the scales on his body stood up. Could it be the existence that made Qin Yu a supreme alchemist? Is he still here? Qi Rong retracted his anger and looked terrified. What? Second brother, what should we do? Hurry up and contact the marshal. Only he can save us. Okay. However, a figure appeared behind Qi Rong in an instant. Raising his fist and aiming at Qi Rong, it was a punch. Boom! There was a loud noise. Qi Rong's head hit the ground heavily, dizzy and disoriented. It was Mu Ao who made the move. Qi Rong stared at Mu Ao in the sky, his eyes revealing a murderous gaze. Damnable ant, you're actually so despicable, attacking us while we're injured. You're too shameless. Qi Rong's face was full of resentment. Hearing this, Mu Ao took a few steps forward. You slaughtered my clan's city, and you still have the face to talk to me about despicable? Do you really think there is no one in my human race? Mu Ao released his aura, and the pressure of a 9-step half-immortal came continuously, pressing the 3 dragons to be unable to move. Today I will kill you all. Mu Ao waved his right hand, leading the Mu family's old ancestor. Each took out a magic weapon and injected immortal power into it. Buzz, above the magic weapon, a dazzling light lit up. The aura of the great Tao spread out from the magic weapon. Damn ants, you all must die. Qi Rong opened his mouth wide, and a series of dragon words spat out from his mouth. They formed ripples that rapidly spread outwards. You lowly ants, die. Qi Rong's face was full of a cruel smile. Mu Ao smiled coldly, and with a point of his right hand, the 4 magic weapons quickly blasted over, seeing that it was about to blast onto the 4 giant dragons. At this time, a phantom descended from the sky. Presumptuous, a light shout containing the power of the great Tao. The 4 magic weapons directly disintegrated and exploded into powder. Immediately afterward, the bodies of the Mu family's 4 ancestors flew out backward and hit the ground heavily. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out from their mouths. Just one sentence, and it made the Mu family's 4 ancestors seriously injured. This power was boundlessly terrifying. Greetings, General Jean. Seeing this phantom, the 4 giant dragons knelt down. The phantom looked at the 4 dragons and frowned. Where are your Dragon Balls? The phantom slowly opened his mouth. Monstrous anger contained in it. Infinite coldness, centered on the phantom, emanated out in all directions. At this moment, everyone felt a chill on their backs, their bodies chilled, and their whole bodies trembled involuntarily. General Jean, there! Qi Rong pointed at the fish hook, his face full of fear. The phantom looked up, revealing a puzzled look. Fish hook? What is this thing? The phantom stretched out his right hand and blasted toward the sky. Boom! A loud noise. The whole world was trembling. Ding, ding. The phantom's body staggered straight back, and it took a lot of strength to stabilize his figure. He looked at the fish hook, his face full of disbelief, only to see that the fish hook was unmoved and continued to fall. Suddenly, the fish hook accelerated and fell in front of Qi Rong in an instant. Seeing this scene, Qi Rong didn't hesitate and bit down on the fish hook. After the giant dragon bit the hook, Qi Rong's body shrank rapidly, struggling frantically. General Jean, save me. Save me. The voice gradually faded away. The fish hook disappeared into the void with Qi Rong, disappearing without a trace. Such a scene strongly stimulated everyone's eyes. He actually hooked a dragon as if it was a fish. Such a terrifying means, apart from mastering the fishing Tao. Who could do it? I've never heard that the young master can fish. Isn't all this done by the young master? Whether it's the young master or not, at least all this is the young master's plan. Luo Luyin looked at the sky, her face full of worship. The phantom looked at the sky, standing there stupidly, full of disbelief. Fishing Tao? Who the hell is it? Could be old man Jiuyo? How is this possible? Isn't he dead long ago? Second brother. The phantom let out a roar. Then he stared at Luo Luyin and the others. The killing intent on his body was not concealed. You all deserve to die. Chapter 159. next to the ghost dragon pond. Goo-goo, on the water's surface, there were waves of ripples, and the entire fishing line was diving rapidly. The fish is coming. Sun Hao's eyes were shining. He pulled hard. The fishing line flew out of the water and landed heavily on the shore. Seeing the scene in front of her, Huang Ruming's expression stagnated. Dragon. Moreover, it was not an ordinary dragon. Looking at its appearance, it was like a half-immortal dragon. Young master can actually fish what he needs according to his own wishes. Such a powerful great Tao of fishing. It's simply unparalleled. Huang Ruming looked at Sun Hao, her face full of worship and admiration. Ruming, look, I caught a big eel. Isn't it amazing? Sun Hao said. Young master, you are too amazing. Huang Ruming said. Qi Rong, who turned into an eel, struggled wildly and kept jumping. When he heard these two voices, his expression stagnated. He looked at Sun Hao with a face full of doubts. Mortal, you dare to call this seed an eel? See if I don't slap you into meat sauce with my tail. Qi Rong's face showed a fierce light, gathered his strength, aimed at Sun Hao, and slapped him with his tail. However, he was horrified to find that when he slapped the mortal's arm, there was no reaction at all. That big hand seemed ordinary, but its strength was shocking. Pressing it on his body, he couldn't resist at all. The next second, Qi Rong's expression changed drastically, and a chill enveloped his whole body. He found that the immortal power in his body was imprisoned, and the power of the great Tao couldn't be summoned at all. This eel is really big, bigger than the two I caught before. I can eat several meals now. This voice reached Qi Rong's ears, and his scalp couldn't help but tingle. What? He wants to eat me? Is he rebelling? Don't you know that the dragon race is a supreme existence? Don't you know that the strongest human race has to bow down to any dragon race? How dare you say you want to eat this seed? Was he trying to rebel? No, he said the first two. Could it be that he has already eaten? His son was eaten by him? Qi Rong looked at Sun Hao and sensed carefully. In the next second, his scalp exploded. That mortal actually had his son's breath. Damn it! Damn it! My son was eaten by him. Go to hell. Qi Rong opened his big mouth and bit at Sun Hao. Bang! A loud sound rang out, and his teeth cracked one by one, without leaving any scars on Sun Hao's body. What kind of monster is this? It's even harder than my teeth. It's over, it's over. Since that's the case, let's perish together. After saying that, Qi Rong mobilized the Dragon Ball and began to detonate it. In the next second, he could not help but fall into endless despair. The Dragon Ball exploded. It's over. This was a fellow who ate dragons and feared neither the heavens nor the earth. If it fell into his hands, it would definitely be eaten by him. Boundless fear spread throughout his body. General, help! Come help me! Qi Rong kept shouting and roaring madly. However, in Sun Hao's view, it was just an eel screaming and struggling before death. Stop screaming and stop struggling. As an eel, you were born to be eaten. Don't worry, I'll take care of you for a few more days. Cherish the rest of your days. Sun Hao caught Qi Rong with one hand and threw him into a large net that had been prepared long ago. No matter how he struggled in it, it was useless. Rumung, are there no fish on your side yet? Sun Hao said. No, young master. Huang Ruming shook her head slightly with a bitter look on her face. Then continue to work hard. Today's luck is good. I caught a big guy as soon as I came. Presumably I can still catch a bigger one. Next, continue. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Huang Ruming nodded. Over the West Prefecture Immortal City, a phantom in a golden robe swept his gaze forward. Who? Endless coldness, centered on the phantom, emanated out in all directions. At this moment, Luo, Luyin, and the others felt a chill on their backs. Their bodies were cold, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. That feeling of being unstoppable surged all over their bodies. This is the immortal dragon. What? Immortal dragon. No wonder this divine sense is so terrifying. This is troublesome. What should we do? The Mu family's 4 ancestors looked at the phantom in the sky, their faces full of fear. General Jean, the second brother, was fished away. Please save him. Moreover, we were injured by that fish hook. The dragon pearl exploded, and there is no possibility of becoming immortals. General Jean, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have been so reckless. Please punish me." The three giant dragons turned into three men in silver armor, kneeling in front of the Phantom, kowtowing constantly. "You guys get up. It's none of your business." The Phantom waved his hand, motioning for them to get up. "This matter has nothing to do with you. Blame the human race. This matter, I will take care of it. Since you dare to attack my brother, then blame this seat for being ruthless." At this point, the Phantom's eyes stared directly at Luo, Luyin, and the others. This stare, mixed with infinite pressure, enveloped everyone. The Mu family's four ancestors gritted their teeth and roared, mobilizing the immortal power in their bodies to fight against it. Stomp! The Phantom walked toward the Mu family's four ancestors step by step. With every step he took, the pressure on the four of them increased exponentially. After a few steps, boom! The shields on the four people directly exploded. Their bodies seemed to bear thousands of giant mountains, and there was no room for struggle. Plop! A sound rang out. The four people knelt on the ground, shivering. The Mu family's four ancestors gritted their teeth and roared, to no avail. The Phantom stood in front of them, looking at them coldly. "He dare to fight against my clan? Have some guts. However, fighting is not enough with courage. It also requires strength. You ants go to hell for this seat." After speaking, the Phantom stretched out his palm, aimed at the Mu family's four ancestors, and pressed it down. Rumble, like a thunder tribulation descending from the sky, that kind of irresistible power spread down from the palm. Several people's bodies trembled violently, struggling frantically on the edge of bursting. Ancestor! Mu Bing let out a heart-wrenching roar. "Run! Run! Don't worry about us." Mu Ao used all his strength to shout out this sentence. "You can still speak. It seems that you have some ability. But so what? Die." After speaking, the Phantom increased its strength and poured it into the palm. Buzz, the terrifying power spread downwards, seeing that it was about to blast the Mu family's four ancestors. At this time, buzz! In the sky, layers of transparent ripples shook up. A fishhook fell from the sky. The power exerted by the Phantom all disappeared. Damn it! The Phantom looked at a fishhook in the sky, his face full of anger. "I'd like to see. Who the hell are you?" After speaking, the Phantom used a secret method and looked at the fish hook in the sky. Buzz! The soul sea was like a heavy blow, and there was a roar, almost causing the soul to collapse. On the fish hook, there seemed to be some kind of terrifying power. Damn it! The Phantom's face was angry, soaring into the sky. Immediately afterward, he stretched out his palm, aimed at the fish hook, and pressed it down. The great Tao condensed in the palm of his hand, emitting a monstrous power, aimed at the fish hook, and grabbed it. "I like to see. Who the hell are you?" The next second, the Phantom was scared silly in place, frightened. Chapter 160. Bang! The great Tao, unleashed by the mysterious figure, dissipated like smoke and dust. The shadow flew out like a kite with a broken string. He crashed into the ground, and it took him quite some time before he managed to stand up. The Phantom image became much dimmer. He looked at the fish hook with fear and disbelief on his face. Phew! The hook didn't stop and continued downward. He charged towards the three dragon generals. Seeing this scene, the Phantom roared, "Run! Quickly run!" Yes, the three dragon generals did not dare to hesitate and fled frantically. However, the fishhook followed them like a shadow. No matter how fast they were, the fishhook would quickly approach them. It's over. A dragon general felt his scalp go numb. He used the power of the great Tao and quickly attacked the fishhook. However, it was useless. Any great Tao technique would dissipate when it hit the fishhook. It was as if the great Tao had seen its ancestor and was prostrating on the ground. Soon, the hook flew to Long Jiang. At this moment, the fear on Long Jiang's face instantly turned into boundless joy. His expression was as if he had seen a peerless delicacy. Without any hesitation, Long Jiang opened his mouth and bit on the hook. As soon as he bit down, The dragon general instantly woke up. No, General Jean, save me, save me. The dragon general roared and struggled frantically. The fishhook seemed to be able to imprison his strength. No matter how hard he tried, he was unable to break free. His body was changing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, it turned into an eel. No. In the end, the fishhook disappeared with the giant dragon. All that was left in the sky was a cry of unwillingness. The mysterious man stood still, clenching his fists, his eyes almost popping out of his eye sockets. General Jean, this method is not simple. Old Four, you are right. This is the angling great Tao, definitely the work of an immortal. The void figure said, What? Immortals? Other than the Dark Azura Hall, there's no one else who cultivates the great Tao of angling, right? That's right. This time, it must be the Dark Azura Hall. Moreover, it's very likely to be Old Man Jiuyo. The Phantom said. The moment he said that, Long Zhang's face changed. General Jean, how is this possible? Didn't Old Man Jiuyo die tens of thousands of years ago? He must have died long ago. Nothing is impossible. A look of lingering fear appeared on the face of the Phantom. You two, hurry up and run. The Phantom said. Yes, General Jean. The two dragon generals transformed into giant dragons and soared into the sky, quickly escaping. However, they just moved. At this moment, buzz, heaven and earth trembled as a fishhook flew over at lightning speed. In an instant, it appeared in front of a giant dragon. No, a cry of unwillingness rang out. The dragon's body rapidly shrank and disappeared into the sky along with the fishhook. The remaining enormous dragon's body trembled. It used its greatest speed to flee frantically. The Phantom looked at the sky with a face full of resentment. He withdrew his gaze and looked at the four ancestors of the Mu family not far away, and his killing intent soared. He's here again. Mu Ao's expression changed slightly, and he carefully stepped back. All of you must die. I want to see if he can save you. With a wave of the Phantom's right hand, the great Tao of slaughter condensed in his hand and flew rapidly toward the four ancestors of the Mu family. At this moment, buzz, the sky shook. A fishhook emerged from the void and trembled slightly. The slaughter great Tao, condensed by the Phantom image, crumbled instantly. Boom! The Phantom flew out backward and did not know how far it flew. His figure dimmed a little again. General Jean, run, you run. No! The fishhook led a giant dragon into the void. All around, there was only one Phantom left. The four dragon generals, who were also four brothers, disappeared in front of his eyes, just like that. In front of the fishhook, he had no chance at all. Old Man Jiuyo, I'll remember you. The next time I meet you, I'll definitely pull out your soul and sink it into Azura hell, never to reincarnate. After saying that, the Phantom pointed with his right hand, and a layer of transparent ripples vibrated out. Without thinking about it, he stepped inside and disappeared on the spot. He ran away. Yeah, what a pity. Yeah, this immortal dragon is a great threat. On the faces of the four ancestors of the Mu family, they secretly sighed. Old Man Jiuyo? Was it the Old Man Jiuyo who attacked just now? That's right. This time, thanks to the Old Man Jiuyo. Great. I didn't expect the human race to still have immortals. If there's a chance, I must pay a visit to the Old Man Jiuyo. The faces of the four ancestors of the Mu family were full of smiles. On the other side, Luo Luyin and the others gathered together and talked to each other. This time, thanks to the young master, Luo Luyin said. Yes, the young master calculated that the Old Man Jiuyo would make a move, so he gave us such a test. Speaking of this, Chen Daoming secretly sighed. Actually, I'm a little ashamed. I was just suspecting that the young master didn't calculate everything. Hearing this, Wen Renshi's old face turned red. Hey, I thought we were dead for sure just now. This is a great disrespect to the young master. I'm ashamed to show my face. Su Yiling listened to these words and blinked her big eyes with a confused face. The corners of her mouth rose, revealing two shallow dimples, and she scratched her head with her hand. Young master, I'm so stupid. I still don't understand how you calculated it." The most calm were Luo Luyin and Mu Bing. The two looked calm, looking in the direction of the great demon mountain, the corners of their mouths raised. "Young master, I knew you calculated everything. We'll be safe and sound." In the moment when everyone was stunned, buzz, the sky trembled again. A fishhook drilled down. After falling to the position where the shadow disappeared, there were layers of ripples. The entire fish hook, once again submerged into the void, disappeared. The only thing left in the sky was the fishing line. This is... Everyone looked at the sky, full of doubts. A moment later, buzz, the sky shook with transparent ripples again. The fishing line quickly retracted. "No!" A cry of unwillingness rang out. Everyone's pupils contracted, and their faces changed dramatically. That kind of disbelief, that kind of shock, words couldn't describe it. They saw a golden dragon being pulled out of the transparent ripples. The golden dragon struggled frantically, roaring and roaring. However, it couldn't get rid of the fishing line at all. Its body was shrinking rapidly. "Old man Joyo, you'll die a horrible death. The Dragon Lord will not let you go." After saying these two sentences, the golden dragon followed the dragon line and disappeared into the void. The transparent ripples quickly dissipated, and everything returned to calm. The scene just now strongly stimulated everyone's eyes. All of this was like a dream, extremely unreal. The Mu family's 4 ancestors secretly wiped a cold sweat, and it took a long time to calm down. Hiss, the cold air sucked in, and their bodies trembled. This is too terrifying. He actually fished the immortal dragon away. What realm has the strength of the old man Joyo reached? Too powerful. The human race is hopeful. The human race is hopeful. This is really a blessing. When this matter is over, I must visit the Dark Azura Hall. Maybe I can meet the old man Joyo. The faces of the Mu family's 4 ancestors were full of surprise. On the other side, Luo Luyin and the others were not much better. The dignified immortal dragon was actually fished away by a fishing line. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, who would believe it? Unexpectedly, this old man Joyo was so terrifying. No matter what, this was a good thing for the human race. The old man Joyo is so powerful. If he can join the Evil Suppression Alliance and fight against the evil race, wouldn't it be much easier? Yes, when this matter is over, let's send someone to invite the old man Joyo. Okay. Chapter 161. No, the golden dragon roared and struggled frantically. His face was full of unwillingness. After going through so many hardships, he finally broke through the great tribulation and became an immortal dragon. Unexpectedly, before he could show off for a few days, he was captured by old man Joyo. If this fell into his hands, how could it be good? No, don't. The golden dragon roared loudly. However, it didn't work. His voice could only be heard by himself. Soon, he felt that he had entered the water and appeared in a pool. That is, he looked at the person above the pool, his face full of doubts. Mortal? The golden dragon was full of doubts. Just now, wasn't it old man Joyo who dealt with him? But this mortal in front of him, was this a dream? The golden dragon stared blankly, full of disbelief. That was great. It turned out to be immortal fishing for him. That was much easier. To deal with him, a casual dragon breath could make his body collapse. Heaven is helping me. The heavens have eyes, the golden dragon, am fine. On the golden dragon's face, there was an incomparably proud expression. Hey, no, there's a cultivator. The golden dragon narrowed his eyes and looked over, and then his face was full of joy. It turns out to be just a 10th-stage Ascendant Realm baby. That's too easy to deal with. One dragon breath can take care of you. How dare you use this kind of peerless immortal weapon to deal with this seat? How can I let you go? When I kill the 2 of them, the 2 peerless immortal weapons in their hands, won't that be my own? At that time, do I still need to fear the Dragon Lord? It's simply wonderful. Ha! At this moment, the golden dragon's heart was already indescribably comfortable. It was as if a super good fortune was in front of him, within reach. Close. It was almost there. Wow, there was a splash. The golden dragon opened its big mouth, aimed at Sun Hao, and spat out dragon breath. However, it was just a few drops of water spat in front of Sun Hao, still far away from his body. This big golden eel has some strength, and it even spat at me. At this moment, a voice came into the golden dragon's ears. Big golden eel? When did he become an eel? He was a golden dragon. Damn mortal! How dare you insult me? Uncle can tolerate it, but Aunt can't. Then, the golden dragon used the golden dragon's swings its tail, aimed at Sun Hao, and whipped over. Pa! A very soft voice rang out. The mortal's hand did not leave a single scratch on it. How was this possible? How could a mortal be able to withstand this seat's ultimate move? Why is my dragon breath gone? This was impossible. Again, I don't believe that you can resist my Dragon Ball. After saying that, the golden dragon spat out forcefully. The next second, to his horror, he discovered that the dragon pearl had been sealed. He could not use any of its power. Stop struggling. Let me take out the hook first. The palm wasn't big, but when it pressed against his body, he couldn't exert any strength at all. All his methods, all his secret arts, all his powers were sealed. How could a mortal be so terrifying? Could it be that he wasn't an ordinary person? Thinking of this, the golden dragon's scalp went numb and cold sweat flowed. This eel is the biggest one. It's enough for us to eat for half a month. What? Eat for half a month? This guy wanted to eat him. He wanted to eat a dragon. Could it be that he was the guy who ate his second brother's son? Oh my God. Actually fell into his hands too? Dragon Lord, help. The golden dragon roared and struggled frantically. However, in Sun Hao's hands, he couldn't turn over any waves. He was thrown into a fishing net. In the fishing net, Chi Rong and other giant dragons were trapped inside. General Jean? How did you get caught too? You were all here. Yeah, General Jean, this mortal is too scary. My son was eaten by him. Now, he wants to eat us again. What should we do? General Jean, send a message to the Dragon Lord as soon as possible and beg him to come and save us. Hearing this, the golden dragon's face was full of bitterness. Now, the power of his whole body was sealed, and he couldn't send a message at all. All my methods are sealed now, the golden dragon said. As soon as these words came out, the 4 giant dragons trembled. Even the dignified immortal dragon was sealed. Then what realm did this mortal in front of them reach? He was by no means an ordinary immortal. General Jean, the human race has produced such an immortal. What should we do? Yeah, General Jean, I'm afraid it will be a huge blow to our dragon race. Our death is a small matter. The survival of the dragon race is a big matter. Hearing these words, the golden dragon's face was full of bitterness. It's all my fault. I didn't know the situation and wanted to slaughter the city. Brothers, in the next life, I will be your ox and horse to accompany you. The golden dragon said. General Jean, don't say it. It's all my fault. If I didn't want to avenge my son, we wouldn't have fallen to this point. Chi Rong said. In this way, several giant dragons had been complaining to each other. The color of regret was written all over their faces. Rumung, 5 big eels. This is enough for us to eat for a long time. Sun Hao said. Young master, you are really amazing. Huang Rumung said. Rumung, you really know how to talk. Sun Hao nodded slightly with a happy face. This line of work was really profitable. The 5 big eels were bigger than the previous 2. Fortunately, the fishing net he prepared was thick enough, and his strength was strong enough. If it was an ordinary person, he wouldn't be able to move it at all. This world was really strange. Even the eels were different. They grew big. However, the taste was good, and it was full of flavor. Presumably, when Miss Lu Yin and the others came and ate it, they would linger and forget to return. Rumung, please help me carry it back. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Huang Rumung walked to the front of the fishing net and lifted it with one hand. Then, she soared into the sky with Sun Hao and returned to the flying boat. She looked at Sun Hao's back, and her eyes showed infinite worship. The dignified immortal dragon, in front of the young master, did not even have a chance to struggle. Then on this planet, who else could pose a threat to the young master? It seemed that except there, in the land of the human race, the young master was absolutely invincible. Rumung, today is really a fruitful day. Come, let's drink some wine to celebrate. Sun Hao said, Young master, I can't drink, let's not drink. Huang Ruming's face changed slightly, and she waved her hand again and again. She remembered the last time she drank. She was so drunk that she couldn't remember anything. She only remembered that the young master carried her to the bed and fainted. This time, she was afraid it would be the same. However, the wine was really delicious, and it was also very useful for her growth. It's okay, it's not a big deal to get drunk and sleep. Sun Hao said, Okay, young master. Huang Rumung followed Sun Hao into the interior of the purple lightning flying boat. Watching the two leave, the eyes of the golden dragon and the 4 giant dragons shone. General Jean, this is a good opportunity. As long as we escape from this flying boat and fall down, there's a possibility of restoring our freedom. Yes, General Jean, such a good opportunity, we can't miss it. In that case, let's work towards one place. Okay. Under the command of the golden dragon, the 5 giant dragons struggled at the same time and jumped up frantically. However, they were like loaches in a deep bucket, exhausted and unable to escape. Chapter 162. The West Prefecture Immortal City had disappeared. On the ground, a thick layer of dust accumulated dozens of meters deep. An incomparably huge pit strongly stimulated the eyes of Luo, Luyin, and the others. Phew! Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and calmed down. This battle was too thrilling. The celestial dragon had only sent down a phantom image, but it already possessed such terrifying power. In his heart, he couldn't even muster the slightest bit of resistance. Fortunately, the young master had calculated everything and made arrangements in advance. Only then was danger averted. Today, thanks to the young master, Chen Daoming said. Yes, the young master's means are really unimaginable. Luo Luya nodded. When the 4 ancestors of the Mu family heard this, their faces were full of doubts. Alliance Master Luo, wasn't it Old Man Jiuyo who killed the Dragon Clan? How is it related to young master? The faces of the Mu family's 4 ancestors were full of doubts. Hearing these words, Luo Luyin smiled and shook her head. For seniors, you are wrong, Luo Luyin said. Wrong? Isn't this the doing of Old Man Jiuyo? Mueo asked. In fact, everything has already been calculated by the young master. Luo Luyin said. Alliance Master Luo, according to what you said, today Old Man Jiuyo made a move, but it was just a move of the young master? Mueo asked. Yes. Luo Luyin looked determined. As soon as these words came out, hiss, the Mu family's 4 ancestors sucked in a cold breath, and their faces were full of shock. Even the immortal was just a pawn of the godly, cunning immortal. Just how strong was the godly, cunning immortal? It was unimaginable. It was too scary. After a long while, they finally calmed down. The young master is so terrifying. I really want to pay my respects to such a person, but I'm afraid of disturbing the young master. Yes, I wonder if we can pay a visit to the young master. Luo Luyin frowned. After thinking for a while, she nodded slightly. Of course. Great. The faces of the Mu family's 4 ancestors were full of radiance. Shall we set off now? Wait, do you know that the young master is immortal? Luo Luyin said. Naturally we know. The 4 ancestors of the Mu family nodded in unison. In that case, let's go. Just as everyone was about to leave, Alliance leader Luo. At this moment, the sky was filled with rays of light. These people were all cultivators of the West Prefecture Immortal City. The person in the lead was precisely Shopkeeper Wang of the Stargazing Tower. He came forward with the 2 patriarchs of the West Prefecture Immortal City, Qin Zheng and Fan Luo. Behind them stood many cultivators. Everyone knelt down. Thank you for saving my life, Alliance leader Luo. Thank you for saving my life, Alliance leader Luo. Their voices were in unison, and it shook the heavens and the earth to the point of reverberating. Hearing this, Luo Yoyin's face changed greatly, and she waved her hand again and again. Get up, everyone. This has nothing to do with us. Luo Yoyin's voice shook everyone's mind. Alliance leader Luo, please don't joke around. The underground passage was dug according to your instructions. If we didn't prepare in advance, we would have died long ago. That's right, Alliance Leader Luo, you're too humble. Of course, this credit goes to you and your evil-suppressing alliance. Yes, yes. Everyone looked at Luo Luyin and the others with gratitude. Luo Luyin shook her head for a while. This great merit belongs entirely to the young master. How could he dare to take it for himself? Everyone is really wrong. All of this, we are acting according to the instructions of the godly cunning immortal. It's not me who saved everyone, but the godly cunning immortal. As soon as these words came out, everyone stood in place, their faces full of shock. Godly cunning immortal? It really was the godly cunning immortal who sent Alliance Leader Luo and the others to save us. So our prayers are useful. That goes without saying. The godly cunning immortal is a god. The godly cunning immortal is not only a god, but also a bodhisattva who saves people from suffering. Many cultivators knelt down. They put their hands together and began to pray. That appearance like a devout believer. Alliance Leader Luo, can you take us to visit the godly cunning immortal? Yes, Alliance Leader Luo, I have only one wish in this life, and that is to meet the godly cunning immortal. Looking at the pairs of fiery eyes, Luo Luyin shook her head for a while. If you go, the young master's Tao heart will definitely be broken. Everyone, listen to me first. Although the godly cunning immortal can calculate everything, he is currently cultivating as a mortal, and it is not convenient to make a move directly. Otherwise, his Tao heart will definitely be damaged. Everything that happened today, the godly cunning immortal also borrowed the hands of others to destroy the Dragon Clan Marshal. You need to remember, the godly cunning immortal must not be disturbed in any way. Luo Luoyin's voice roared and shook in everyone's mind. After everyone heard it, they secretly nodded their heads. So that's how it is. In that case, this is a small gift. I hope that Alliance Leader Luo will transfer it to the godly cunning immortal on my behalf. Alliance Leader Luo, this little thing, please transfer it to the godly cunning immortal for me. Many cultivators took out their own peerless treasures and handed them to Luo Luyin. Everyone be quiet. Just this little thing of yours, not to mention the godly cunning immortal. Even I am afraid I will not like it. Since the godly cunning immortal takes saving the world as his duty, he will not care about fame and fortune. You all understand. Luo Luoyin's voice was like thunder, blasting in everyone's mind. Hearing this, the group of cultivators was like a blow to the head. It was indeed so. How could a big shot like the godly cunning immortal take a fancy to these things? Not for fame, not for profit, just to save the world as his duty. This kind of selfless spirit is worth learning. Godly cunning immortal, you are the most righteous god. Many immortal cultivators were moved to tears. Everyone, we still have things to do, so we will leave first. The construction of the West Prefecture Immortal City will be handed over to you. After saying that, Luo Luyin and the others turned into a long rainbow and rushed in the direction of the Great Demon Mountain. Everyone looked at their backs for a long time before withdrawing their gazes. On a certain island in the purple sunstar, an old man wearing a bamboo hat and a straw raincoat was sitting on a stone with his eyes closed, like a wooden sculpture. A fish basket, a fishing rod. A bend of blue water emitted wisps of white smoke, like a fantasy fairyland. Suddenly, the old man's white beard trembled slightly, and his whole mouth slowly opened. A breath of clear air went straight into the chest cavity. Ah, chew! The old man gathered his strength for a blow and sneezed a few times in a row. The sound waves rippled out. The whole island was trembling slightly. A bend of blue water, as if boiling, was bubbling. Whoosh! The fishing rod was quickly retracted. The old man stood up, his eyes bursting with 2 rays of light. Buzz, the whole world was shaking. He looked at the sky and seemed to penetrate thousands of miles. A moment later, he withdrew his gaze. Who the hell is scolding me? The old man frowned slightly, and his right thumb quickly rotated on his other fingers. It looked like he was pinching his fingers to calculate. I can't figure it out. There's a layer of mysterious aura shrouding it. This old man hasn't been born for tens of thousands of years. Has the whole world changed? How could there be such a character? I'd like to see who is stirring up the wind and clouds. Old man Julio, it's time to come out. The world won't forget this old man, right? The old man murmured, waved his right hand, and put away the fish basket and fishing rod. Immediately afterward, he strode up the sky, and each step shook up layers of ripples under his feet. It seemed slow, but it was actually extremely fast. With just one step, he disappeared over the island. Chapter 163. At the foot of the mountain to the west of Sun Hao's residence, a thatched cottage was located by a stream. This was originally Ning Mingji's residence, but now it has been occupied by Mo Haoshi. In the house, Mo Haoshi sat on a stool, holding a purple metal ball in his left hand and a carving knife in his right hand, slowly carving on it. Every step he took was very careful. From time to time, he glanced at the boat core placed on the table and carefully compared it. As time passed, Mo Haoshi's face overflowed with fine sweat, and his right hand trembled slightly. The lines on the metal ball were crooked like a chicken claw scratching out. After a while, Mo Haoshi's engraving was completed. He took the metal ball and looked at it, and the more he looked, the more dissatisfied he was. Then he threw it gently. The metal ball turned into a parabola and smashed in the corner of the room. Ding! It turned a few times on a pile of metal balls before stopping. Compared with the young master, I am hundreds of millions of miles away. I am so sluggish, I don't have the smoothness and naturalness of the young master at all. If I hadn't drunk enlightenment tea with the young master, I am afraid I would be 100 times weaker. Practice more, continue. After speaking, Mo Haoshi took out another metal ball and began to engrave. His eyes stared like copper bells, and he didn't even dare to blink. His whole face was extremely nervous, and his right hand trembled involuntarily. The more nervous he was, the more unnatural the array pattern he engraved. Seeing that, he was about to carve another one. At this time, zhong, the sound of a zither came from the mountain and resounded throughout the valley. When this sound reached Mo Haoshi's ears, his whole mind was shocked. The tension was completely dispelled at this moment. He was as if bathed in the warm sun, extremely relaxed. The movements in his hands were no longer stiff, but became smooth. He no longer looked at the boat core on the table, but moved according to his heart and began to engrave. When the zither finished playing, the boat core in his hand was engraved. He sat in the same place, motionless. In his eyes, there was an uncontrollable surprise. It turns out that this is engraving the array, young master. No, master, this disciple understands. Master, your song has improved my state of mind several times. Thank you, master, for enlightening me. Mo Haoshi looked at the mountain, his face full of gratitude. Then he picked up the engraved boat core and looked at it, shaking his head secretly. I can only engrave 90% of the array pattern. I still need to work hard. Mo Haoshi picked up the boat core and lightly tossed it. The boat core directly flew into a corner, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Continue. Mo Haoshi took out a metal ball and began to engrave an array pattern. This time he did as he pleased. His movements were smooth and without the slightest pause. Every formation pattern was completed in one stroke. 2 hours later, Mo Haoshi looked up to the sky and laughed, unable to restrain his joy. It's done. It's finally done. Although I can't compare to young master, mine is at least the core of an immortal boat. As long as there are spiritual crystals, it can be activated. At that time, I will no longer be an array master, but an immortal array master. Mo Haoshi clenched his fists in excitement. It took him a long time to calm down. Now, I can formally acknowledge him as my master. With that in mind, Mo Haoshi took the boat core and walked out of the house. Master, I'm here. Sun Hao stood up, looked at Huang Rumeng, smiled and nodded. This girl has no talent in fishing at all. However, when he played the zither, he completely forgot himself. The graceful zither sound was melodious and mellow, high and undulating, and the artistic conception was long. When people heard it, it was as if they were there and reluctant to wake up. "Young master, why are you looking at me like this?" Huang Ruming's face was slightly red, and she lowered her head. "Rumung, you play the zither really well." Sun Hao said, "It's all because young master taught me well. Compared with you, it's far worse." Huang Rumung said, "Rumung, you really know how to talk." Sun Hao took Huang Ruming's small hand and stood at the top of the stone tower, looking around. "Young master, such a thick fog. It's so beautiful. The sky connects the clouds and the dawn fog. The galaxy wants to turn 1,000 sails dance." Sun Hao nodded slightly and blurted out, "Young master, you are so talented." Huang Rumung looked at Sun Hao with admiration. Her blushing face was like a ripe apple, which was particularly attractive. "Rumung, you flatter me." Sun Hao's face showed a touch of embarrassment. It was just a gift. Who? At this time, a gust of wind blew with a little coolness. "Is it autumn?" Sun Hao looked startled. Unexpectedly, a few months passed in the blink of an eye. It had been half a year since he stayed with Huang Rumung. Thinking back to the beginning, she was still a timid little girl, afraid of this and that. Half a year later, she had completely changed. There was no pretense in her gestures. The whole person looked like she had an unparalleled temperament. All along, he had not asked about Huang Ruming's life experience, afraid of touching her inner scars. However, he should be able to ask now. "Rumung, where are you from?" Sun Hao asked. Hearing this, Huang Ruming's body trembled slightly, looked up at Sun Hao, and nodded slightly. The two sat down. "Young master, I am from Demon Ancestor Mountain." Huang Ruming said, "Demon Ancestor Mountain? Where is this?" Sun Hao asked. "Young master, Demon Ancestor Mountain is located in the east of Tianluo continent. It is another continent where all the demons live. It is hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from Tianluo continent." "What? Hundreds of thousands of kilometers? If we take Zidian, how long will it take to get there?" Sun Hao was shocked. Unexpectedly, Rumung came from such a distant place. "I'm afraid it will take a few months," Huang Rumung said. "So far?" Sun Hao was slightly startled. "Then did you fly here?" "No, it's space teleportation," Huang Rumung said. "Space teleportation?" Sun Hao looked puzzled. "Young master, there are 3 methods of space teleportation." "Which 3?" "First, artificial teleportation, which requires an immortal who understands the great Tao of space to complete. Second, the teleportation portal needs to be built in 2 different places to match. The third is the immortal boat. Generally, the immortal boat has the ability to jump through space." Hearing this, Sun Hao's eyes bloomed. If he had an immortal boat with space jump, wouldn't he be able to go anywhere? By the way, that Mo Hao sure seems to know how to build a flying boat. I don't know if he can build an immortal boat. I haven't seen him for many days. Where did he go? This idea had just taken shape. "Young master, are you at home?" Outside the courtyard door, there was a sound. Sun Hao squinted his eyes and couldn't help but shine. "Rumung, take me down, okay?" "Yes, young master." The two landed. Soon after, under the leadership of Huang Rumung, Mo Hao sure stood in front of Sun Hao. He looked at Sun Hao, and his body trembled slightly with excitement. Afterward, he took out a boat core and handed it to Sun Hao respectfully. Young master, I finished." Looking at this boat core, Sun Hao's eyes flashed. Chapter 164. Sun Hao took the boat core and looked up and down. The core of the boat was enveloped in a layer of radiance that repelled the surrounding spiritual energy. Tens of thousands of formation runes were densely inscribed on the palm-sized boat core. Every single formation pattern did not feel stiff at all. Even though it was far from his level, it was still passable. Not bad, but I still have to work hard. Sun Hao returned the boat core to Mo Hao Sure. "Yes, young master." Mo Hao Sure nodded heavily and stood respectfully in front of Sun Hao. "Young master, are you carving today?" Mo Hao Sure asked. "Carving?" Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth, took out a piece of immortal wood, and handed it to Mo Hao Sure. "Today, I will not carve, but watch you carve." Sun Hao said, "Yes, young master." Mo How Sure received the immortal wood, and his pupils couldn't help but constrict. He couldn't see the grade of the immortal wood in his hand. He must not be simple. Young master, I'm going to start. If there's anything wrong, please point it out. Mo How Sure took out a carving knife and began to carve. Bang! A sound rang out. The carving knife cracked. Mo How Sure stood dumbfounded on the spot, full of disbelief. Broken? This was made from immortal gold, and it cost him over 100 immortal crystals. It was broken just like that? Then wouldn't this immortal would be of the highest grade? Mo How Sure sucked in a cold breath. The young master casually threw out a piece of top-grade immortal wood. The young master was too rich. Young master, my carving knife is too poor. I can't carve. Mo How Sure looked ashamed. Hearing this, Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth. He was just worrying about not having any blessing points. Don't worry, I have it. Sun Hao took out a set of carving knives and threw them in front of Mo How Sure. These carving knives were personally forged by him. Although it couldn't be compared to the system's products, it was much stronger than Mo How Sure's set. Mo How Sure held the carving knife, his whole body trembling slightly with excitement. It was impossible to see the grade of these carving knives. However, Mo How Sure could confirm that in their hands, the supreme immortal wood could also be easily carved into all sorts of shapes. Young master, are you sure you want to give it to me? Of course. Many thanks, young master. Mo How Sure thanked him profusely. All right, let's start sculpting. Yes, young master. Mo How Sure picked up the carving knife and began to carve. Although his movements could not be said to be that of a genius, it was still smooth and natural. Every formation pattern was completed in one go. 2 hours later. Success. Mo How Sure held the immortal wood boat core, his eyes shining brightly. This time he had grown a lot. Compared to before, he was probably several times stronger. Apart from the immortal wood's contribution, the other was the growth of his carving technique. Sun Hao looked at the boat core and nodded secretly. This fellow's talent was indeed lacking. Who would have thought that he would grow to such an extent in just a few days? It seemed like he had practiced quite a bit. His willpower was not something an ordinary person could compare to. In the future, on the path of sculpting, there was a chance that he could catch up to him. Young master, take a look. What do you think? There's progress, but you need to work harder. Look, you've paused a few times here. It's very stiff. And here, you don't seem to remember. Sun Hao pointed to the boat core and picked it up. Hearing these words, Mo How Sure broke out in a cold sweat. He had thought that he was perfect, but he didn't expect that he had so many problems. The young master is amazing. Thank you, young master, for your guidance. Mo How Sure said. No need. Sun Hao looked at Mo How Sure's appearance and nodded secretly. He looked at the blessing point panel with a happy face. Now, the blessing point had reached more than 60,000. He believed that it would be full in the near future. I heard that you can build a flying boat? Sun Hao asked. Yes, young master. Mo How Sure nodded. Can you build an immortal boat? Young master, The principle of building an immortal boat is the same as a flying boat, but the materials needed are different. The most important thing about an immortal boat is the boat core. As long as there is an immortal boat core, and there are materials that can withstand the power of the immortal boat core, then there is no problem in building an immortal boat. Mo How Sure said. Hearing this, Sun Hao nodded secretly. So, as long as he watched Mo How Sure's method of building a flying boat, he could also build one. At that time, after building an immortal boat, he could return to Demon Ancestor Mountain with Rumeng. After coming out for so long, Rumeng should be homesick, right? Who is the disciple of whose? Thinking about this, Sun Hao smiled slightly. Then can you build one? Sun Hao said. Of course. May I ask, young master, where to build it? Mo How Sure asked. Come with me to the backyard. Yes, young master. Following Sun Hao to the backyard, Mo How Sure's divine sense swept, and suddenly his scalp was numb, and cold sweat flowed. That is an immortal fruit. What? A piece of enlightenment tea tree. So many leaves, there are more than 100,000 pieces. That is a supreme elixir. That is, Ancestor, that turned out to be an immortal elixir. Mo Hao Shi's voice trembled, and cold sweat flowed. What kind of existence was the young master? This kind of peerless treasure appeared in pieces? I'm afraid that the young master's identity is not an immortal king at all, but probably an immortal venerable. This feeling is too dreamy, Mo Hao Shi murmured, his face full of shock. Suddenly, his divine sense swept to a pool, and he couldn't help but feel his scalp explode. He saw 5 dragons lying in the pool, looking sluggish and motionless. What? Dragon race? There is even an immortal dragon? Is this a pet raised by the young master? It's terrifying. Mo Hao Shi's eyes were full of panic. It took him a long time to calm down. Young master, are you still raising fish? Mo Hao Shi asked. Are you talking about those eels? I didn't raise them, I fished them. It's for eating. Since you are here today, let's eat one. Sun Hao said, as soon as these words came out. Ding, ding. Mo Hao Shi retreated a few steps as if he was hit hard. His face was full of horror. His lips trembled, and he muttered for a long time without a word coming out. What? Is this for eating? Young master, you actually want to eat dragons? Don't scare me, okay? Although this old man is not afraid of death, it's not easy to learn by your side. It's not worth it to die like this. Young master, do you really want to eat it? Mo Hao Shi asked. Yes. Sun Hao nodded. Don't look down on these eels. This taste is very good. Young master, Mo Hao Shi shook his head helplessly. Looking at the young master's appearance, he thought that it was eels and didn't know that it was a dragon. The young master was cultivating, and it was not good to break it. What should I do? Could it be that the young master was not afraid of the dragon at all? Or was the young master testing his courage? Since that was the case, then fight it out. This dragon meat must be eaten. Mo Hao Shi nodded secretly. Okay, let's get started. Sun Hao's voice came. Yes, young master. Mo Hao Shi took the furnace and put it aside. After starting the fire, he took out pieces of spirit iron, placed them in the furnace, and began to forge and remove impurities. Sun Hao stood next to him, frowning slightly. Chapter 165. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Since returning from the Ghost Dragon Lake, Sun Hao had been home for 5 days. In the past 5 days, the name of the godly cunning immortal has resounded throughout the Tianluo continent. Even in the southern and eastern regions, the 4 words of the godly cunning immortal also shook the minds of a group of immortal cultivators. Saving Jiangyang, killing the 4 generals, killing the pharaoh, annihilating the blood phoenix. This time, he did everything to save the West Prefecture immortal city and killed the 4 generals of the Dragon Clan and even the Dragon Clan's Grand Marshal. This method, this strength, he had never seen or heard of such a thing before. Public opinion can melt metal. In the end, the godly cunning immortal was like a bright lamp in the hearts of the immortal cultivators. There were countless people who sought the trail. There were even many people, tens of thousands of miles away, all the way to the Jade Lake Palace to ask for the whereabouts of the godly cunning immortal, just to worship. For these, Sun Hao naturally did not know. On this day, he stood in the backyard, quietly watching Mo Hao Shi build the flying boat, secretly remembering everything in his heart. Several days had passed, and Mo Hao Shi was still only building a chassis. This chassis was made of spirit iron. It needed to be forged, removed, and inscribed. It was simply too complicated. At this rate, they might not even be able to complete it by the end of the year. Old Mo, how long will it take? Sun Hao asked. Young master, it won't take long. It'll be done in about a year. Mo Hao Shi's face revealed a hint of arrogance. Following the young master, his construction speed had greatly increased. He only needed 1 year to build a flying boat. In the past, if he had to do everything himself, it would have taken him at least 3 years. Too slow, Sun Hao said. What? Mo Hao Shi revealed a bitter expression. Young master, this is still slow? This is my fastest speed. Come with me. Yes, young master. Mo Hao Shi followed Sun Hao to the iron forging room. Give me the iron ore. Yes, young master. Sun Hao took the iron block and threw it into the furnace. Phew! Blue flames instantly ignited. The piece of iron that was thrown away immediately melted into molten iron and burned into nothingness. This is an immortal fire. No, it's the supreme immortal fire. Young Master is actually using this kind of flame. How could the peerless spirit iron withstand it? Hausher murmured, his face full of shock. The longer I stay by young Master's side, the more I can't see through him. The shock in his heart had not stopped for a single day. Back then, when he heard Jean Tianping's words, he foolishly refused to believe it. In fact, he even threatened the young Master, insisting that he would only rise if he accepted him as a disciple. He was a F***king idiot. How could he threaten someone like the young Master? A person like the young Master, how could he be worthy of becoming a disciple? Now that he thought about it, how laughable he was at that time. Young Master, don't worry, I will work hard. I will strive to be your disciple for the rest of my life. Hausher secretly clenched his fist. Look, what kind of mind is this? It's too bad. Sun Hao said, Young Master, okay, let's build a flying boat with wood. Sun Hao said, Yes, young Master. The two of them returned to the backyard and were about to make their move. Young Master, are you at home? A sound came from outside the door. Hearing this, Sun Hao's eyes flickered. Miss Luyan. Finally, he could reap blessing points again. Hausher followed by his side and was harvested every day, but the speed was still too slow. Young Master, I'll open the door. Huang Ruming's voice came from the kitchen. Okay, Sun Hao said. Creak. Huang Ruming opened the door and saw the people in front of her, and her expression stagnated. This time, there were actually 4 more people. All 4 of them had the aura of the half-immortal realm, and their cultivation base must be extremely extraordinary. Sister Lian, may I ask who they are? Huang Ruming asked. Sister Rumong, these are the 4 ancestors of the Mu family. Luo Luyan said. Hearing this, Huang Ruming's pupils shrank, and her face showed shock. This kind of ancestor, generally, the strength was infinitely close to the existence of immortals. They generally sealed themselves in the God Source, and they would not come out unless it was a critical moment. It seemed that they were actually so young. Greetings, Miss Ruming. Mu Ao stepped forward and led the Mu family's ancestors to salute respectfully. For seniors, you're welcome. Please come inside. Under the leadership of Huang Ruming, the 4 ancestors of the Mu family walked in carefully. They withdrew their divine thoughts and did not dare to release them. When they came to the pond, the corner of their eyes swept, and their faces were full of shock. Lotus Immortal. It really is the Lotus Immortal. The 4 ancestors of the Mu family nodded slightly to show respect. Their hearts had already stirred up a storm, fiercely hitting the chests of several people. Along the way, they were cautious and did not dare breathe. Quack! Suddenly a duck's cry came. When the 4 ancestors of the Mu family heard it, their faces changed drastically, and without thinking, they lowered their heads. At the same time, they used their divine sense to transmit their voice. Greetings, Senior. The 9 Heavens God Wan has heard Mu Bing mention it many times. Her temper is very strange, and she must not be offended. Before coming in, she was a little unconvinced. After entering the courtyard door, she knew how terrifying it was inside. With a sweep of the corner of her eyes, she knew that the 9 Heavens God Wan was not something she could resist. And not bad, a little polite, in line with this old man's intention. Ingyu's voice shook in the 4 people's minds. Many thanks, Senior. The 4 ancestors of the Mu family once again used their divine sense to transmit their voice. No need. Make good use of this good fortune. Yes, Senior. The 4 ancestors of the Mu family followed the crowd and continued to move forward. Even without using divine sense, they could clearly sense that there were countless terrifying auras. Every single aura could crush him into powder. What kind of existence is the young master? There are actually so many big shots around him. It's too terrifying. I feel like I'm going to be crushed to death by these auras. So uncomfortable. My heart doesn't seem to be my own. Big brother. How terrifying is the young master? It's not an existence that we can speculate about. The 4 ancestors of the Mu family used their divine sense to communicate with each other, secretly discussing. Miss Luyen, you're finally here. At this moment, a voice sounded. The four ancestors of the Mu family looked up, and their pupils couldn't help but shrink. They saw a man with a dignified appearance walk out. Between his every move, there was his own Tao rhyme. Every movement was natural, without the slightest affectation, and it looked very comfortable. The smile at the corner of his mouth was warmer than the spring breeze. Behind the man, there was also a middle-aged man, like a guard, not a step away. Greetings, young master. You're too polite. Sun Hao smiled and waved his hand, his gaze sweeping to the four men standing at the back. May I ask who you are? Sun Hao asked. Mu Bing stepped forward and bowed. Young master, these four are my family's ancestors. This is Mu Ao. This is Mu what? Ancestor. Didn't the ancestors of this world seal their own divine source? They were all sealed in the divine source to guard the family when their lifespans were about to end. They would never come out unless the family was in danger. Each of these characters had a shocking cultivation base. Listening to Ru Ming, they were all existences infinitely close to immortals. Looking at their appearance, where did they look like people who had exhausted their lifespans? Could it be that their strength was unfathomable, far beyond what he could imagine? Such a character must not be offended and must be dealt with carefully. Thinking like this, Sun Hao clasped his fists and saluted, Greetings for seniors. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the four ancestors of the Mu family changed drastically. Chapter 166. Young Master, you can call me Xiao Ao. Young Master, please call me Xiao Hu. When Sun Hao heard this, his expression stagnated. The stronger one's cultivation was, the more humble they were. However, this was still not very good. Then I'll call you Old Ao, call you Tiger. Yes, young master. The Mu family's four ancestors secretly wiped a cold sweat, secretly thinking that it was so dangerous. Calling him senior in front of the young master? How was that any different from courting death? There was no need for the young master to make a move. The big shots around him could glare him to death. That was close. Mu Ao heaved a long sigh of relief, stretched out his right hand and grabbed at the void. Buzzed ripples appeared in the sky. Then Mu Ao took out something from his soul space and placed it on his palm. Once this thing appeared, it instantly attracted everyone's attention. Smelting divine cauldron. Everyone's expression changed slightly. Even Mu Bing's expression changed slightly. This item was the Mu family's most precious treasure, and it wasn't any weaker than the Xianyuan family's Xianyuan cup. He was just about to ask the old ancestor for it, but he didn't expect the old ancestor to take it out in advance. Amazing, young master. I came in a hurry, so this is a small gift. I hope you don't mind. Mu Ao waved his right hand. Phew! The smelting divine cauldron flew out from his hand and landed in front of the hall. The cauldron was 2 meters tall and had 4 legs. Complicated patterns were carved on it. Just a single glance was enough to make one's head ring and dazzle one's eyes. Compared to ordinary cauldrons, this cauldron did not have 2 handles, and there were 4 holes at the corners. It looked very strange. Sun Hao looked at the refining divine cauldron and felt a sense of déjà vu. At that moment, he couldn't think of anything. He glanced at the faces of the crowd and nodded to himself. This thing was definitely not simple. It must be a treasure. Although he couldn't see it now, he would definitely be able to after he cultivated. This kind of good thing, if they didn't accept it, wouldn't it chill the hearts of the Mu families for ancestors? Thank you. Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth and gave Huang Rumeng a look. Phew! Huang Rumeng waved her right hand and put away the divine refining cauldron. Young master, may I ask who this is? Luo Luyan looked at Mo Haoshi and asked. My name is Mo Haoshi. As soon as these words came out, boom, there was an explosion of thunder. Luo Luyan's group of 5 stared blankly, full of disbelief. Who would have thought that the weapon pavilion leader would be here as well? From the looks of it, he has a good relationship with the young master. His bootlicking skills were absolutely unparalleled. He needed to do his best. He had to pay attention to every word and every action of the young master. Luo Luyan, and Chen Daoming looked at each other and nodded secretly. So if it's Master Mo, nice to meet you. Alliance Master Luo, you're too polite. The few of them introduced themselves to one another and exchanged pleasantries. Sun Hao looked at Luo Luyin and the others and nodded secretly. You finally came. I have to eat some meat today. There were still 4 big eels that he couldn't bear to eat. He was just waiting for them to come over. Everyone, since you are here today, let's have a meal before leaving, Sun Hao said. As soon as this was said, Su Yiling's eyes suddenly shone. Great. Young master, what shall we eat today? Did you eat carrots again? At the thought of radish, Su Yiling couldn't help licking her lips. No, let's eat some meat today. The corner of Sun Hao's mouth raised. You guys are lucky. Young master, do you want to eat eels? Su Yiling asked. Yes. As soon as these words came out, boom, an explosion of thunder blasted in the minds of Luo, Luyin, and the others. Others didn't know, but they knew it clearly. The eel in the young master's eyes was a dragon. Could it be that this time another dragon was caught? Thinking like this, Luo Luyin asked, Young master, did you go out fishing again? No. Sun Hao shook his head slightly. Hearing this, Luo Luyin nodded secretly. It seemed that this dragon was not caught by the young master. It was sent by Old Man Jiuyo. Dragon person of the 9 underworlds, you really know how to lick. I have to learn more in the future. Rumung and I went out fishing a few days ago and caught a few big guys. Boom! Another explosion of thunder. It blasted on the soul. Luo Luyin stared with wide eyes, full of disbelief. So, it wasn't Old Man Jiuyo who saved the West Prefecture Immortal City at all, but the young master did it himself? Come, I'll take you to see. I'll keep them in the backyard for the time being. These eels are really big. I promise to open your eyes. Sun Hao's face showed a touch of pride. The supreme fishing technique was really not for show. Okay, young master. The few people's faces were calm, but their hearts were already in turmoil. Their bodies were like being hit by a tsunami, and they couldn't calm down for a long time. Through the main hall, they opened the backyard gate. A breath of fresh air came to their faces. What was printed in front of them was a garden that couldn't be seen. On the fruit trees, there were attractive fruits hanging. The fragrance hit the nose, and a sniff made people's stomachs ring like thunder. That's immortal fruit, all immortal fruit. Big brother, look, that's a piece of immortal tea. That's what? Horse. That's a piece of enlightenment tea tree. So many buds, at least 100,000 pieces. Big brother, I can't stand it. I want to rob it. Rob? Then you try. I guarantee that you will instantly turn into flying ash. The 4 ancestors of the Mu family were shocked and didn't recover for a long time. The backyard was completely and incomparably huge treasure house. Not to mention other things, just those immortal fruits, each one taken to the outside world, was enough to make immortals fight for their heads and bleed. Not to mention that piece of Taoist tea, that piece of immortal medicine, that piece of immortal tea, unimaginable. Looking at the young master's appearance, he didn't treat these as treasures at all. In his eyes, these things were as ordinary as they could be. Young master, what is your identity? Even Luo Luoyin's 5 people were shocked. That stunned look was indescribable in words. Especially Su Yiling. Her small mouth opened into an O shape and did not close for a long time. Finally, everyone withdrew their gaze and stared at the chassis of the flying boat. Young master, are you building a flying boat? Luo Luyin asked. Not the young master, it's me. The young master is teaching me to build a flying boat. Before waiting for Sun Hao to speak, Imo Hausher said first. Hearing this, everyone looked stunned, looking at Sun Hao's eyes, full of worship. I didn't expect that the young master could even make flying boats. Isn't that the young master an array master? Young master, are you omnipotent? Everyone, don't just stand there. Come with me. Sun Hao's voice woke everyone up. Yes, young master. Everyone followed behind Sun Hao. Young master, do you like fishing? Luo Luyin asked. Yes. Sun Hao nodded. Fishing is a pleasure, but it's fun when there are many people fishing together. If there's a chance, let's fish together. As soon as these words came out, Luo Luyin looked startled. The young master's instructions came. This sentence must be firmly remembered. There must be a profound meaning in it. Luo Luyin nodded secretly and secretly put these words in her heart. Yes, young master. Everyone nodded in unison. It's just ahead. We'll be there soon. Sun Hao pointed to the front and said with a smile. They saw that not far away, there was a pool of several hundred square meters. When they walked to the pool and looked, their faces changed dramatically, and they were shocked for a long time. Chapter 167. The golden dragon was lying in the pool, his eyes without the slightest spirit. For days ago, he was caught like an eel. The mortal casually dug a pond and threw himself into it. However, he couldn't break free even after exhausting all his methods. Not long after, his brother Chi-Rong was scooped up, then his stomach was cut open, and he was cut into pieces. The dignified dragon race was reduced to human food. Since ancient times, when did this happen? This was unbearable. At that time, he resisted. Resistance was ineffective. Any means, there was no effect at all. In this pool, he was as weak as an ordinary eel. He couldn't even make a ready-made hole, let alone jump in the hole. This pool was like a prison of hell, and he couldn't break free at all. This was casually dug out by a mortal. If it were just like this, it would be better. The most terrifying thing was, these days, he would sense a terrifying aura every day. This feeling was like being in an ancient wild world, surrounded by ancient divine beasts. He could confirm that a random wisp of aura could blow him into ashes. What kind of place did he come to? That mortal, what kind of existence was he? Why were there so many terrifying existences following him? If this goes on, what should he do? General Jean, is there still no way to send a message to the Dragon Lord? At this time, a voice came. When the golden dragon heard this, he secretly shook his head. His face was full of bitterness. No, General Jean, if this goes on, we will all be eaten by that mortal. Mortal? You still think he is a mortal? I can be sure that he is an incomparably terrifying existence. What? A mortal is an incomparably terrifying existence? When these words came out of the golden dragon's mouth, the dragon generals couldn't help but tremble. General Jean, what should we do? Aren't we dead for sure? That's inevitable. The golden dragon looked gloomy. What I'm worried about now is not us, but the entire dragon race. The entire dragon race? Could it be that he can annihilate the entire dragon clan? It's hard to say, the golden dragon said. As soon as these words came out, hiss, several dragon generals sucked in cold air one after another. Dragon race, in addition to the Dragon Lord, there was another supreme existence. That was an existence that even the Thunder Tribulation Lord was afraid of. Could it be that this mortal was stronger than a supreme being? General Jean, don't joke around. Even the Dragon Lord of the Purple Sunstar is extremely powerful. How could an ordinary immortal be a match for the Dragon Lord? Not to mention that we have the entire dragon tribe behind us. That's right. Don't you know how powerful sovereigns are? Behind the sovereign is the supreme existence of our dragon clan. The golden dragon secretly shook his head, his face full of bitterness. Don't you feel the aura around here? Which one of them is weaker than the dragon sovereign? This, in an instant, the 4 generals of the dragon clan were dumbfounded. That was true. Every time that terrifying aura swept over, it was as if they were facing the ruler of the dragon clan. It was extremely terrifying. The surroundings were filled with such terrifying existences. If that's the case, doesn't that mean that the mortal isn't any weaker than the dragon clan? Thinking of this, the dragon general sucked in a breath of cold air, his body trembling violently. An endless chill spread throughout his body. In that case, that existence couldn't bear to see us eating humans. And that's why he took action? A dragon general asked. That's right. Since ancient times, our dragon clan has been pampered and self-righteous. We look down on any race. This is great. The human race has actually produced such an existence. The golden dragon had a bitter expression on his face. General Jean, we must find a way to report this matter to the Dragon Lord. Let him not be an enemy of the human race. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. The golden dragon secretly shook his head, his face full of bitterness. Now, let's not talk about the fact that we don't have the ability to report to the Dragon Lord. Even if we do, will the Dragon Lord listen to us? When the Dragon General heard this, he instantly lowered his head. Indeed, the Dragon Lord's status was noble. How could he change his view of the human race because of a word from General Jean? With the Dragon Lord's personality, he will definitely launch an attack on the human race. At that time, it will be a disaster for our dragon clan. The Golden Dragon said. Hearing this, the group of dragon generals secretly sighed, their faces full of bitterness. The destruction of a dragon clan meant that the clan would also perish. Wife, children, parents, uncles without exception, they would all die tragically. We're here, look. At this moment, a sound rang out. The Golden Dragon looked up, and his pupils couldn't help but shrink. The light in his eyes flickered. At this moment, it was as if he had seen a life-saving straw. He stared at the Mu family's 4 ancestors, and without thinking, he opened his mouth and roared, "Brothers, save me!" The Mu family's 4 ancestors were standing stupidly in place at this moment, awakened by such a sound. They looked at the Golden Dragon, and for a moment, they couldn't believe the scene in front of them. The dignified, immortal dragon was actually turned into a prisoner, and to the point of asking for help from the human race. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, who would believe it? The arrogance of the dragon clan was eternal and unchanging. In their eyes, the human race was just an ant, not to mention asking for help. Even if they spoke to the human race, they would feel incomparably ashamed. Save you? Mu Ao smiled slightly, coldness written all over his face. Do you think I can save you from the young master's hands? Big brother, I beg you, speak to that supreme existence. As long as you save me, this gene will be at your disposal in the future. The Golden Dragon said. Come on. Mu Ao shook his head for a while. Why did the young master make a move? Don't you know in your heart? I was wrong. We were wrong. I promise I'll never attack the human race again. If I eat another human, I won't die a good death, and I'll be struck by lightning. Mu Ao swore one after another. When these voices reached the ears of Luo, Luyin, and the others, they couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. An immortal dragon was forced to such a situation in this world, except for the young master. Who could do it? Forget it. It's impossible for me to speak. How will the young master punish you? How dare we disobey? Mu Ao shook his head for a while. Hearing this, the Golden Dragon looked sad. In its eyes, there was still a glimmer of hope. Big brother, I can't die. Otherwise, the human race will be plunged into misery and suffering. If the Dragon Lord learns of my death, with the Dragon Lord's character, he will definitely slaughter the entire human race. Even if you don't want to save me, for the sake of the human race, you have to think about it. The Golden Dragon said. Hearing this, Mu Ao frowned slightly and began to think. A moment later, he looked at Sun Hao, his eyes flashing with a strange light. Do you think that in front of the young master, the Dragon Lord can turn over any storm? I'm afraid that when the time comes, even the Dragon Lord will become the young master's food. Mu Ao said. The Golden Dragon was directly dumbfounded and speechless. Then can you help me send a message to the Dragon Lord? Let him never attack the human race. The Golden Dragon said. The dignified Dragon Lord, will listen to me. The Golden Dragon's face was full of despair. He looked at the sky, wept bitterly, and roared toward the sky. The heavens want to destroy my dragon race. Today, we will eat the biggest one. A voice rang out like a clap of thunder. Chapter 168. Emohausher looked at the Golden Dragon and couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. A few days ago, he saw the young master cut a dragon into pieces in 3 or 5 moves. Subsequently, he cooked a big hot pot. At that time, when the young master wanted him to eat it, he was scared out of his wits. Later, at the young master's request, he still ate it. Now thinking about it, it was really the best taste in the world, making people salivate. In the future, with the young master here, would he be afraid of not having dragon meat to eat? Since everyone is here, today we will eat the biggest one. Sun Hao pointed to the golden dragon and said, "This sound, like a demon voice from hell, exploded in the golden dragon's mind. Everyone help, please save my life." The golden dragon roared. However, no one paid attention to him. His voice, when it reached Sun Hao's ears, was like the cry of an eel. "Big eel, don't jump, it's just a matter of time." After this sound, the big hand descended from the sky and pounced straight at the golden dragon. On the surface, it looked very ordinary, without any power. It pressed on the golden dragon's body, but it couldn't resist at all. No matter how the golden dragon struggled, it didn't work at all. He was lifted out by Sun Hao with one hand and pressed to the ground. Raising the hammer, aiming at his head, it was a hammer down. No, a heart-wrenching cry came to an abrupt end. Boom! The hammer fell and hit the golden dragon's eyebrows. Immediately, the golden dragon stopped struggling and fainted. Sun Hao took out the kitchen knife and moved quickly. Cut open the belly, deboned and removed the impurities, cut into slices of meat. The whole movement was smooth, without the slightest pause. A moment passed. The golden dragon turned into a large pile of meat slices, placed in front of everyone. Such a scene strongly stimulated everyone's eyes. That kind of shock, that kind of disbelief, it was written all over everyone's face. A dignified immortal dragon, in the hands of the young master, did not even have the qualification to struggle. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't believe it even if they were beaten to death. A moment later, hiss, the sound of inhaling cold air sounded constantly. It took a long time for them to calm down from the shock, especially the 4 ancestors of the Mu family. Their chests were like being hammered and difficult to recover. "Rumung, please take out that big pot." "Yes, young master." With a wave of her right hand, Huang Rumung appeared in front of everyone. Boom! A huge stove shook the ground, causing it to buzz. This is all made of immortal metal. Every item used by the young master is an immortal item. The Mu family's 4 ancestors opened their mouths wide and did not close for a long time. "Rumung, light the fire." "Yes, young master." Huang Rumung waved her right hand, and a pile of wood appeared in front of everyone. The Mu family's 4 ancestors raised their eyebrows, and their expressions changed again and again. F*CK, immortal wood. Moreover, it's an immortal wood of a grade that even I can't see. No way. This is used to light a fire? Isn't it too wasteful? In the incomparably painful expression of the 4 ancestors of the Mu family, the immortal wood ignited a raging fire. The immortal wood is actually used as firewood? That's right. Only celestial fire can stew the meat of a celestial dragon. It smells so good. What did young master put in? I haven't eaten anything for 10,000 years, and now I feel like eating. The Mu family's 4 ancestors stared blankly at Sun Hao's movements, and for a while, it was difficult to calm down. Today's trip had finally broadened his horizons. In the future, he wouldn't be able to stir up any waves when he saw spirit items. "Everyone, don't worry, it will be ready soon." Looking at the pairs of eager expressions, Sun Hao's face showed a touch of arrogance. With his supreme cooking skills, even if the other party was an ancestor, so what? "Rumung, go pick some wild vegetables." "Yes, young master." After Huang Rumung finished speaking, she quickly got up. A moment later, Huang Rumung returned, seeing the things in the basin. The Mu family's 4 ancestors widened their eyes, and the shock was indescribable. A basin of immortal divine medicine? In young master's mouth, could it be wild vegetables? Don't tell me these are all to eat? Heavens! Young master is too extravagant. I can't stand it, I can't stand it. Although we have lived for 100,000 years, compared with young master, this gap. Today I finally know what a big shot is. The Mu family's ancestor muttered to himself, opened his mouth wide, and did not spit out a word for a long time. Luo Luyin and the others were not much better. The shocked appearance was indescribable in words. Under the stunned gaze of the crowd, Huang Rumung poured all the immortal divine medicine into the large pot. Cover the pot and simmer for half an hour. The delicious aroma spread in all directions, lingering at the tip of the nose, making people salivate. Taking a deep breath, relaxed and happy, saliva overflowing, and his stomach roared like thunder. Everyone swallowed their saliva, revealing a look of eagerness. A moment later, "All right." Sun Hao lifted the lid of the big pot. The hot steam was steaming, and the aroma came. The milky white soup strongly attracted everyone's attention. "I can't imagine that I am about to become the first person to eat an immortal dragon. No, the second one. Presumably, young master has eaten a lot. Rumman, get some stools," Sun Hao said. "Yes, young master." However, Huang Rumman waved her right hand, and a dozen stools were placed around. "Today we will eat a big hot pot. Don't leave until you finish eating," Sun Hao said. "Thank you, young master. Come, don't just stand there, let's eat." Seeing Sun Hao make a move, the others followed in turn. Su Yiling had long been impatient, picked up a piece of immortal dragon meat, and sent it into her mouth. Chewing carefully, swallowing in small mouthfuls. An infinite immortal power, like a turbulent flow, rushed in the meridians. The whole person seemed to be about to explode. Su Yiling's face changed drastically, and she hurriedly used her cultivation method to introduce this force into her dantian. She opened her small mouth, shocked in place. It was just a small bite, and the barrier of the realm was pierced. At this moment, she rose 2 realms in a row and reached the 7th grade Ascendant Realm. Is this the power of an immortal dragon? No, an immortal dragon alone can't do this. Just now, the young master seems to have put a lot of immortal medicines and immortal divine medicine. This big pot of immortal dragon meat is simply unimaginable. Su Yiling murmured, her face full of shock. The others were not much better. Everyone chewed carefully, not daring to be careless. The most shocked were the 4 ancestors of the Mu family. Their bodies trembled slightly, and the meat on their chopsticks almost shook off. "Oh, I can eat immortal dragon meat stewed with immortal divine medicine. From ancient times to the present, who has been so extravagant? Who has been so domineering? All of this is given by the young master." The 4 ancestors of the Mu family looked at Sun Hao with admiration and awe, flickering indeterminately. Mu Ao picked up a piece and swallowed it in one bite. "How?" There was a shock like a dragon's roar. A wave of immortal power, like a surging torrent, rushed in Mu Ao's body. Mu Ao's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly used his cultivation method to introduce these immortal powers into his dantian. At this moment, the strength he lost was quickly recovered. In less than a moment, he once again returned to the 10-step half-immortal realm. A mouthful of immortal dragon meat made me fully recover. Moreover, the Tao injuries in my body were all erased. This mouthful of meat is completely unimaginable. Young master, you first helped my Mu family transform the supreme, holy land and gave me vitality. Now, you helped us recover again. This great kindness, Mu Ao will never forget it for the rest of his life. Young master, you can rest assured that we are duty-bound to eradicate the evil race and reinvigorate the peak of the human race. Mu Ao looked at Sun Hao, revealing a firm expression. Chapter 169. This is too delicious. This immortal dragon meat is definitely the best in the world. Nothing tastes better than this. It's all because I'm too weak. My digestion is too slow. It takes me so long to eat a piece of meat. Unlike the young master, who eats the meat directly, Su Yiling looked at Sun Hao with a face full of worship. Suddenly, her expression stagnated, looking at Sun Hao's mouth, and she stood there stupidly. They saw. Sun Hao picked up a piece of dragon meat, swallowed it into his mouth, and chewed it. It looked as if it was devouring the heavens and the earth. Seeing such a scene in Su Yiling's eyes, she was instantly stunned. The scenery in front of her changed rapidly. It was as if she was the only person left in the world. In other words, she was heaven and earth. At this moment, she reached the incomparably mysterious state of being one with heaven and man. Su Yiling felt like a heaven-swallowing beast that could devour everything. She closed her eyes, opened her bloody mouth, and swallowed hard. Phew! The surrounding spiritual energy rushed into Su Yiling's mouth. As the spiritual energy flowed into his body, it quickly transformed into immortal energy. Katja! In just one breath, the barrier around her body cracked open, and she broke through another small realm. So powerful? Su Yiling opened her mouth, and her face was full of shock. Again. Then, she began to devour again. This state of being one with heaven and man was extremely rare. The spiritual energy, invisible to the naked eye, rushed over and quickly improved Su Yiling's strength. He didn't stop until he reached the 10th step of the Ascendant Realm. To become a half-immortal, one needed to comprehend the Great Tao and mobilize the power of the Great Tao. Although he could mobilize the Great Tao of Ice before, he had borrowed the power of the painting scroll. I have comprehended the devouring Great Tao. Su Yiling opened her eyes, revealing an irrepressible surprise. The devouring Great Tao was a supreme Great Tao that was even harder to comprehend than the angling Great Tao. According to the legends, the heaven-devouring demonic art was originally a devouring Great Tao. However, it was a shortcut and could not be compared to the devouring Great Tao. Furthermore, the demonic heaven-gorging art had a very strong side effect. It made one become bloodthirsty and unable to control their emotions. This was also why it was called the demonic sky-devouring art. As for himself, he had directly comprehended the Great Tao of devouring. Although he had yet to grasp the basics, at least he had made a good start. From now on, he only needed to eat, and he would be able to improve quickly. This was too suitable for him. The young master must have deliberately guided me. Young master, you are too good to me. Su Yiling looked at Sun Hao with gratitude on her face. Then, Su Yiling picked up a piece of dragon meat and chewed it. The immortal power flowed through his meridians into his dantian and gathered at his nascent soul. Su Yiling sensed the changes in her dantian and stood in place. The nascent soul in his dantian had turned into a monster that looked like a qilin. The only difference was that this monster had a bloody mouth. Supreme Spirit Root Tao Tai. Su Yiling stood in place, full of disbelief. Who would have thought that not only did he sense the Great Tao of devouring, but he also gave birth to a spiritual root. Moreover, it was the ancient divine beast, Tao Tai. Such fortune was simply unimaginable. From now on, there would be no more obstacles on the path of cultivation. Even if the immortal tribulation came, it would devour it too. In Su Yiling's heart, there were already stormy waves, and she could not calm down for a long time. Young master, thank you. She looked at Sun Hao with gratitude on her face. Aya, all of you are so refined. Sun Hao looked at everyone eating meat in small bites and shook his head for a while. Rumung, come, eat the meat. After speaking, Sun Hao picked up a few pieces of immortal dragon meat for Huang Rumung and sent them into her bowl. Young master, you eat too. Huang Rumung also helped Sun Hao pick up a few pieces. She picked up a piece and swallowed it directly into her abdomen. The immortal power surged and rushed quickly in her meridians. With a little guidance, all of it poured into her dantian. These surging immortal powers were all swallowed by the divine phoenix. The divine phoenix was like a dry stream, in urgent need of immortal power to moisten. The immortal power was swallowed, and the barrier on Huang Ruming's body instantly collapsed. At this moment, she reached the 3-step half-immortal realm. To become an immortal, one needed to comprehend a kind of Great Tao to small success. And she, after swallowing the blood phoenix, the destruction Great Tao had long reached great success. As long as the immortal power was full, she could become a 10-step half-immortal. Then, it was the immortal tribulation. Compared with the 9-color thunder tribulation, the immortal tribulation was 10,000 times more powerful. It was not an order of magnitude at all. Once she passed, she would not be an ordinary immortal, but a yellow immortal. Maybe today, she could become an immortal. Huang Rumung looked at the big pot of immortal dragon meat, picked up another piece, and sent it into her mouth. After Huang Rumeng swallowed 10 pieces of immortal dragon meat, "Kacha!" a sound rang out. The barrier stuck in her body instantly shattered. At this moment, her realm reached the 4-step half-immortal realm. Huang Rumeng looked excited, and her body trembled slightly. Without any hesitation, she picked up another piece and swallowed it into her abdomen. After Huang Rumeng swallowed 40 pieces of immortal dragon meat, she broke through again and reached the 5-step half-immortal realm. At this moment, most people were still eating the second piece of immortal dragon meat. They chewed carefully, glancing at Huang Rumeng from time to time, their eyes full of envy. After a few moments, "Kacha!" a sound rang out. At this moment, Huang Rumeng's immortal power was full and reached the 10-step half-immortal realm. There was only one hurdle left between an immortal and a half-immortal. This hurdle was the immortal tribulation. If she passed it, she would be an immortal. If she couldn't pass it, she would either become dust or a rogue immortal. At the moment of her breakthrough, suddenly, dark clouds rose everywhere, covering the sky in an instant. The whole world quickly darkened. Strong gusts of wind whistled by. The whole world was buzzing and trembling. The terrifying sound of electric currents sounded from the black clouds, echoing between heaven and earth. Each sound shook the ground until it hummed and trembled. The 4 ancestors of the Mu family stared blankly at the sky, their faces full of panic. This is the immortal tribulation. Oh my God, how many years have I not seen the immortal tribulation? Could it be her? The gazes of the 4 ancestors of the Mu family were all staring at Huang Rumeng, their expressions stunned. Especially Mu Ao, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly, and his body trembled. He had seen the immortal tribulation, that terrifying power. Thinking about it now, he was still scared. Just one blow, and it moved within a radius of 100 miles to the ground. There was no treasure that could withstand this kind of power. Naturally, the person who was crossing the tribulation also vanished in a thin air. Seeing that immortal tribulation, Mu Ao immediately decided not to break through. Therefore, for so long, he had been suppressing it, not comprehending a kind of great Tao to small success. Now, the immortal tribulation came, and he was sitting with the person who was crossing the tribulation. Didn't that mean that he was also within the scope of the immortal tribulation? It was too late to escape now. What should he do? Mu Ao's face was full of panic. Rumble. There was an explosion, and the world roared. The dust on the ground was buzzing and trembling. The entire western region, no matter who it was awakened by this loud noise at this moment. Chapter 170. Tianluo Continent, Daki Mountain, Yuji Cave Residence. Ujizi suddenly opened his eyes, and 2 sharp eyes burst out. He looked in the direction of the western region, as if he could see through thousands of miles. Immortal tribulation? I haven't seen an immortal tribulation for tens of thousands of years. This time, which little doll can't suppress it? To cross the immortal tribulation? What a terrible immortal tribulation. This immortal tribulation is too powerful, at least 10 times stronger than before. It seems that the heavenly Tao does not allow anyone to become an immortal at all. Ujizi muttered to himself and sighed softly. Tianluo Continent, in the west, there was a sea called the Endless Sea. On the Endless Sea, the sky was dim, and there was no sunlight all year round. On a certain island, in a tall tower covered with skulls, a 5-meter-tall humanoid skeleton sat in the main seat, and in the empty eye sockets, the soul flame was faintly discernible, jumping slightly. It was the lord of the evil clan, Gui Zhu. Suddenly, in Gui Zhu's eye sockets, 2 groups of souls jumped violently. The originally white soul flame slowly turned red, and finally, it became crimson. Immortal tribulation? Someone in the human race has crossed the immortal tribulation? I'd like to see who you are. After speaking, Gui Zhu stretched out his hand and pointed forward. Buzz, the air shook up layers of ripples. Boom! Immediately afterward, there was an explosion. Gui Zhu's body stepped back, and the soul flame jumped rapidly. It was unknown whether he was trembling or surprised. There's a mysterious aura shrouding me. Just a light touch, and I was injured. Who the hell is it? How could it be so terrifying? I hope he doesn't succeed in crossing the tribulation. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will affect my big event. Guizhou muttered to himself. Scenes like this appeared all around the Tianluo continent. At this moment, whether it was the old monsters in cultivation or the ancestors who sealed their divine origin, they all opened their eyes at this moment, revealing a shocked expression. Their eyes were all looking in the direction of the western region. The power of this immortal tribulation is actually dozens of times stronger. It seems that it doesn't let people become immortals at all. Fortunately, the old man suppressed his realm and did not break through. Otherwise, his soul would definitely be shattered. Western regions, south of the Great Monster Mountain, Sun Hao's residence. Sun Hao looked at the sky and then at Huang Romeng. After seeing her calm expression, he could not help but feel relieved. Looks like Romeng isn't afraid of thunder. Sun Hao muttered to himself, buried his head, and continued to eat meat. Seeing such a scene, the others gradually relaxed. With the young master here, there's nothing to worry about. But this is an immortal tribulation, not an ordinary lightning tribulation. That's different. No matter what tribulation it is, in front of young master, won't it still kneel down and lick his boots? Luo, Luyin, and the others transmitted their voices, relaxed their minds, and continued to eat meat. The Mu family's 4 ancestors looked at the sky, and then looked at the crowd, the expression on their faces changing indeterminately. They suppressed the fear in their hearts and began to eat meat like the others. The meat in their chopsticks fell into the pot from time to time. This time he was frightened. This was the immortal tribulation. Could the young master withstand it? All of you are actually so calm. If it really falls, we'll definitely die. Thinking of this, the 4 ancestors of the Mu family had a bitter expression on their faces, looking at the sky from time to time. In the sky, among the dark clouds, whoosh, a figure composed of electric light was shuttling rapidly inside. He was the Thunder Tribulation Giant. This time, someone was crossing the immortal tribulation. The power of the Thunder Tribulation that he could mobilize was naturally thousands of times stronger. Little guy, you actually dare to cross the immortal tribulation. Don't you want to live anymore? Today, I'll let you taste what it's like to fight against the heavens. This time, I will definitely blow your soul away, and your bones will not be left. As long as this task is completed, this year's performance will be considered completed. I won't encounter the supreme existence again this time, right? Thinking of this, the Thunder Tribulation Giant's figure stagnated, and his face showed a trace of uneasiness. Then, he quickly shook his head. Impossible. I know the few people around the supreme existence. They have just reached the ascendant realm. How could it be possible to cross the immortal tribulation again? Who cares who you are? Eat my hammer first. After saying that, the Thunder Tribulation Giant took out a hammer shining with thunder light. 10,000 colors of thunder light kept jumping on the hammer, bursting out with the power to destroy heaven and earth. Just one look was enough to make one's mind tremble. Die! The Thunder Tribulation Giant roared, aimed at the ground, and blasted it over. The black clouds dispersed, and the dazzling light illuminated the entire world. A beam of thunder light shook the sky, causing the sky to roar, and the waves of air billowed. Whoosh, the terrifying pressure, like a tsunami, pressed toward the crowd. The faces of the Mu family's 4 ancestors changed drastically, secretly saying that it was not good. It's over. There were only these 2 words that could be thought of, seeing that the thunder light was about to fall. At this time, a figure rushed out quickly. She was dressed in white, and her sleeves fluttered. On her beautiful face, there was a firm smile. She was Huang Romeng. She looked at the thunder light falling from the sky. Not in a hurry, stretched out her right hand and grabbed toward the sky. The thunder light went straight into Huang Romeng's hand, jumping around in it, struggling frantically. Every time it jumped, it would burst out with the power to destroy heaven and earth. Boom! The surrounding space, like a mirror, shattered inch by inch, and then closed again. Everyone looked up at this scene, and their scalps couldn't help but explode, and cold sweat flowed. Grabbing the immortal thunder tribulation with bare hands? It was really unheard of, unseen. Madam's strength was actually terrifying to such a degree. Unimaginable. Unimaginable. Don't struggle. It's useless. Break. Huang Ruming's right hand gently clenched. Boom! There was a loud explosion. The entire thunder tribulation exploded. It turned into hundreds of millions of strands of electric light, enveloping Huang Ruming. She closed her eyes, bathed in the electric light, revealing an expression of enjoyment. A moment later, the electric light dissipated, all absorbed by Huang Ruming. She stood in midair, closed her eyes, and quietly felt it. At this moment, heaven and earth seemed to be still. Everyone's eyes were staring blankly at Huang Ruming, full of disbelief. What? Swallowed? All the immortal thunder? Really amazing. This method is unimaginable. Sister Ruming is different when she is by the young master's side. This physical body, I'm afraid even the immortal dragon is far from comparable. Luo Luyin and the others looked at Huang Ruming, their faces full of shock. Beside them, the Mu family's 4 ancestors stood in place, unable to calm down for a while. Grabbing the thunder tribulation with one hand and swallowing the thunder tribulation light into the body. This was really a long time to live. In a million years, when had they ever seen it? Madam's method was terrifying and unimaginable. Hiss! The Mu family's 4 ancestors took a few breaths of cold air and then gradually calmed down. Everyone's eyes were once again fixed on Huang Ruming. They saw. Huang Ruming opened her eyes, and 2 sharp gazes burst out. Her gaze directly penetrated the dark clouds and swept onto the thunder tribulation giant. Chapter 171. The thunder tribulation giant's body trembled, and he felt cold all over. He looked at Huang Ruming and quickly withdrew his gaze. Madam's strength is so terrifying. I dare to attack Madam. Don't you want to live? So, I'm sorry, Madam. I was wrong. After speaking, the thunder tribulation giant faced Huang Ruming and bowed deeply. Don't stare at me. I understand. The thunder tribulation giant took out the hammer and pulled out a ray of 7-colored thunderlight with an extremely painful expression. This is my apology to you. Don't blame me. Accept it. After speaking, the thunder tribulation giant dropped the 7-colored thunderlight. The light flashed, and it instantly entered Huang Ruming's body. This ray of 7-colored thunderlight contained 10,000 colors of lightning, and its power was many times stronger than Huang Ruming's previous 18-color thunderlight. The 7-colored thunder light quickly merged with the divine phoenix in the Dantian. Sensing everything in the Dantian, Huang Ruming quickly withdrew her gaze. Originally, she was also looking forward to the thunder tribulation giant to blast a few more thunder tribulations. Who would have thought that it would directly give such an unparalleled opportunity to him? This feeling was like a dream. Was the thunder tribulation giant afraid of her? How could the thunder tribulation giant be afraid of her? It was only afraid of the young master. All this good fortune was given by the young master. Thinking of this, Huang Ruming swept to Sun Hao with gratitude written all over her face. Young master, I am willing to repay your kindness with 10 lifetimes. Among the dark clouds, the thunder tribulation giant saw that Huang Ruming was no longer staring at him and breathed a sigh of relief. He secretly patted his chest, carefully stepped forward, and walked forward. He stepped into the vortex and disappeared into the sky. When he appeared again, he came to a certain space. In this space, lightning flashed and thunder surged. At a glance, it made people's hearts and souls split. It was terrifying. The thunder tribulation giant half knelt on the ground and let out an unwilling roar. God, why did I meet the supreme existence again? Why are all the people around him crossing the tribulation? My performance this year is still 0. How can I go back to see the ruler? There are only 5 months left, God. please send me a few more people in the crossing calamity realm. Even if it violates the rules, I will blow him to death." The Thunder Tribulation giant shouted with a bitter face. His voice caused the entire space to buzz and tremble. "This won't do. The Supreme Being didn't take it seriously. I won't be so lucky next time. I can't go to such a terrifying place again. I'm going to mark out a restricted area within 100 miles of where the Supreme Being lives to avoid making a mistake." After that, the Thunder Tribulation giant waved his hammer and drew a big circle. An invisible wave of air directly penetrated the space and covered within 100 miles of Sun House residents. From today onward, there would no longer be any tribulations in the area. Heaven Luo Continent, Northern Region, Daki Mountain, Jade Pearl Cave Mansion. Ujizi opened his eyes. He looked in the direction of the Western Region, his face full of confusion. "That's all? Killed in one strike? Shouldn't there be 108 lightning strikes? Could it be that he killed the person undergoing the tribulation with a single strike?" Thinking of this, Ujizi gasped. This celestial tribulation is indeed terrifying. Luckily, I became an immortal early. Otherwise, even with my current strength, I won't be able to overcome the immortal tribulation. Ujizi sighed secretly and stood up. "I still have to make some preparations, disciple. Hold on for a while. I will come to save you immediately." After speaking, Ujizi took out the talisman paper and began to draw. Tianluo Continent, on an island in the west, in a tall tower covered by a skull. Guizhou looked in the direction of the Western Region, and the soul flame jumped slightly. I don't know how long it took. The soul flame in Guizhou's eye sockets jumped rapidly. Only one Thunder Tribulation fell. "I thought you were a big shot. I didn't expect that I couldn't even resist one Thunder Tribulation. I was worried for nothing." After Guizhou finished speaking, his figure flashed and disappeared instantly. Sun House residence in the sky. Huang Rumlung stood there, closed her eyes, and quietly felt the changes in her body. Boom! A sound rang out. The spiritual root directly burst open. Infinite immortal power, through the meridians, surged throughout the body. Every cell in the body was being transformed frantically. Huang Ruming's physical body was transforming into an immortal body. To become an immortal, one must shed the mortal body and transform into an immortal body. The spiritual root was stored directly in every cell of the body and could be used at any time. In addition, it was to truly control the great Tao. As long as she condensed the soul, she could use the great Tao. After drinking so much enlightenment tea, her soul was already extremely powerful. I'm afraid that in the entire Xiang star, except for the young master, she was the only one. Where the mind is, the great Tao can be used. For a long time, Huang Ruming's immortal body was considered to have been tempered. Now, the great Tao of destruction has been completed, and I can be regarded as a yellow immortal. With my current strength, I am invincible under Xian Immortal. As long as I comprehend the great Tao of destruction to the peak, then I will step into Xian Immortal. At that time, my strength will be 10 times stronger than now. I also have enough strength to return to the demon Ancestor Mountain. Why do I think so much now? Accompany the young master well. This is the most important thing. Huang Rumling muttered to herself and secretly made a decision. On her body, there was a layer of faint brilliance. She looked as beautiful as a fairy, suffocating. His every movement gave off a feeling of being completely natural. After a long time, she opened her eyes and flew down. Everyone looked at Huang Rumling, and there was a little more awe on their faces. Sun Hao looked at Huang Rumling, and his eyes flickered. Right now, Ruming looked even more beautiful than before. Her body had an even more ethereal temperament. "Rumling just now?" Sun Hao asked. "Young master, I saw the thunder was about to fall just now, so I stopped it. Now it's all right," Huang Ruming said. "What? Stop?" In this way, Huang Ruming caught the thunder with her bare hands. That voltage was tens of millions of volts, or even hundreds of millions of volts. Moreover, the current was as high as hundreds of thousands of amperes. It was simply unimaginable how strong the power was. It was actually caught by Huang Rumeng with her bare hands. Huang Rumeng was so strong that she couldn't imagine it at all. When she first came, she would tremble with fear even when there was thunder. How long had it been? And she could catch the thunder with her bare hands. The speed of growth was unimaginable. Could it be that she obtained the inheritance of the old ancestor, which was why she was so powerful? It should be like this. Rumeng, amazing, Sun Hao said. Young master, you flatter me. Huang Rumeng sat next to Sun Hao. Everyone, don't be stunned, continue to eat. Sun Hao's voice woke everyone up. Okay. Looking at the small half-pot of immortal dragon meat, everyone continued to move their chopsticks. Luo Luyan ate the immortal dragon meat in small bites, looking at Sun Hao from time to time. The light in her eyes flickered. In the future, with the young master here, facing the immortal tribulation, there is no need to be afraid at all. The bodies of the Mu family's 4 ancestors trembled, holding the immortal dragon meat, shaking from time to time. What they saw and heard these days was better than the previous 100,000 years. Now that they thought about it, it still felt like a dream. Big brother, even the Thunder Tribulation Giant is afraid of the young master. You say, don't say it, scared to death. The young master's realm is not what we can imagine. Eat your meat well. Yes, big brother, but my hand is shaking so much that I can't control it. At such an old age, you have to calm down. You need to remember one thing. In the future, follow the young master's lead and must not neglect. Yes, big brother. The Mu family's 4 ancestors communicated with each other through divine sense and reached a consensus. Mo Haosher looked at Sun Hao and took several deep breaths. Young master, you actually scared the Thunder Tribulation Giant away. What is your identity? Chapter 172. After eating a few pieces of immortal dragon meat, the immortal force in Mu Ao's body surged. He was on the verge of breaking through and would soon become an immortal. At this moment, Mu Ao's expression changed dramatically. He knew that the situation was not good. He had just seen the might of an immortal tribulation, and it was simply terrifying beyond imagination. Even though he had just eaten a lot of immortal dragon meat and his physical body had become dozens of times stronger, he was still unable to withstand it. However, it was far from enough to pass the immortal tribulation. A single lightning tribulation would probably turn him into ashes. I need to leave this place quickly and find a place to suppress it. Thinking so, Mu Ao stood up. Facing Sun Hao, he bowed respectfully. Young master. Old Ao, what's wrong? Sun Hao asked. Young master, I have urgent matters to attend to today, so I need to leave immediately. Please forgive me for disturbing your mood. Mu Ao's face was filled with anxiety. Looking at Mu Ao's anxious face, Sun Hao sighed secretly. He was still thinking about how to think of a gift for them, but now it seemed impossible. Since old Ao has something important to do, then I can't keep him. Take care, Sun Hao said. Many thanks, young master. After Mu Ao cupped his fists, he walked out. Young master, since Big Brother has something to do and may need our help, we will also take our leave. The ancestors of the Mu family got up one by one to bid farewell. Sun Hao looked at the back of the Mu family's old ancestor and frowned. The blessing points are gone just like that. Sigh. Seeing Sun Hao's look, Luo Luyan raised her eyebrows. She looked in the direction Sun Hao was looking at and was secretly shocked. No, that direction is the northern region. Something big must have happened in the northern region. Thinking of this, Luo Luyan suddenly felt dull. You're still eating? With a look from Luo Luyan, Su Yiling stopped immediately. Biting half a piece of meat in his mouth, he looked puzzled. Mu family's ancestor is busy. Why can't I eat it? Such delicious, immortal dragon meat. Young master, we'll also take our leave today. We will come again another day. Seeing Luo Luyan getting up, Chun Daoming also stood up and cupped his fists in turn. Sigh, you guys. Sun Hao looked at them, opened his mouth, and was unable to speak. Luo Luyan looked at Sun Hao's expression, and her heart thumped. The young master looked at the north region again, and his expression was so ugly. The matter of the north region must be urgent. Remember to come often, Sun Hao said. Definitely, definitely. Looking at the backs of everyone, Sun Hao sighed secretly. He hadn't even delivered the gifts, and they had all run away. Turning around, he saw Mo Hao Sure standing up, rubbing his round belly with a satisfied look on his face. "Are you full?" Sun Hao asked. "Yes, young master." Mo Hao Sure nodded. "Rumung, what about you?" "I can't eat any more either. Since that's the case, I can only dump it." Sun Hao looked at the pot of meat and sighed secretly. Quack! The Nine Heavens God Luan ran up quickly and kept rubbing against Sun Hao's trousers. "All right, I'll give you a bowl." Sun Hao scooped out a bowl for the Nine Heavens God Luan and poured the rest into the pond. The petals of the myriad divine lotus trembled. Countless roots spread out, wrapping around the pieces of immortal dragon meat and devouring them. This, Mo Hao Sure looked at the demonic lotus, and his expression changed drastically. He muttered to himself for a long time without spitting out a single word. He was certain that this demon lotus was not an ordinary demon immortal. It was very likely that he had reached the immortal venerable realm. This terrifying immortal venerable was actually just a slave of the young master. In that case, isn't the young master an immortal emperor? The more he thought, the more terrified Mo Hao Sure became. The young master's realm was simply unimaginable. Such a character, how could he deserve to be his disciple? I must work hard. Young master, one day, I will meet your requirements." Mo Hao Sure secretly clenched his fists with a firm look. "Don't just stand there. Come with me and continue to build the flying boat. If the quality of your iron ore is not good, use my wood to build it. Rumung, take out the biggest wood." Sun Hao said. "Yes, young master." Huang Rumung nodded and waved her right hand. Transparent ripples instantly appeared in the sky and spread to the surroundings. A giant wood with a diameter of 20 meters drilled out of the transparent ripples. Boom! It fell to the ground and shook the dust. The giant wood was 100 meters long and could not be seen at a glance. When Mo Hao Sure saw this wooden stick, he was scared silly. Is this high-grade immortal wood? No, it's definitely the supreme immortal wood. Such a big immortal wood. How many immortal crystals is it worth? 100,000 immortal crystals? More than that, 1,000,000 immortal crystals can't buy it. The young master's immortal wood is worth 1,000,000 immortal crystals. The young master is too rich. Presumably, the young master still has a lot of such immortal wood, so it seems that the stargazing tower is nothing compared to the young master. No wonder Zhang Tianpeng is so respectful in front of the young master. In this world, the young master is the richest. Mo Hao Sure's heart shook for a long time before he calmed down. "From today onwards, you and I will carve this wood into a flying boat." Sun Hao said. "Young master, this can only carve a few hundred rooms at most. Excluding the control room, formation passage, and hull, I'm afraid only more than 100 rooms can be carved. If we remove the cultivation room, carving room, refining room, and so on, I'm afraid there are less than 50 rooms left, which can only accommodate 200 people at most. Isn't this a little small?" Mo Hao Sure asked. "Enough. I only need to bring 2 people." Sun Hao said. "Okay, young master, then I'll draw a sketch first. If you think it's okay, we'll carve it according to this. What do you think?" Mo Hao Sure asked. "Okay." Sun Hao nodded. "Young master, I'll go back to draw the sketch first and try to finish it within 2 days." Seeing Sun Hao nodding, Mo Hao Sure turned into an afterimage and quickly left. On the path down the mountain in the east, Luo Luoyan's group of 5 ran quickly and caught up with the Mu family's 4 ancestors. "Senior, why are you in such a hurry to leave?" Luo Luoyan asked. "I'm going to break through." Mu Ao's face showed a look of panic. "You're going to break through? Senior, are you going to reach the immortal realm?" Luo Luoyan's eyes were full of light. "You're still laughing. This old man must find a place to suppress his realm. Otherwise, he will definitely die." Mu Ao said. "Senior, there's no need at all." Luo Luoyan said. "Why?" Mu Ao looked puzzled. "You saw it just now. The Thunder Tribulation Giant is afraid of the young master. You just need to cross the tribulation next to the young master, and you'll be safe." Luo Luoyan said. Mu Ao frowned and thought secretly. It was indeed safe to cross the tribulation next to the young master. However, there would still be a thunder tribulation falling. Once that thunder tribulation hit him, it would also be smashed to pieces. No, even if I stay by the young master's side, there will be a thunder tribulation falling, and this old man admits that he is unable to resist it. Mu Ao said. This, Luo Luyan secretly sighed. Indeed, that immortal tribulation was not something that could be resisted by humans at all. Senior, what if you fail to suppress it? Luo Luyan asked. Mu Ao was dumbfounded. If the suppression failed, he would definitely die. Senior, how about this? We have a few attics at the foot of the mountain. You can live directly at the foot of the mountain. In case the suppression fails, run to see the young master immediately. Presumably, you only need to resist the first thunder tribulation. At least there is a glimmer of hope of survival. In case of success, you will be an immortal. When Mu Ao heard this, his eyes flickered. After some thought, Mu Ao nodded. Okay. Chapter 173. Sun Hao's residence, at the foot of the southern mountain. There were several attics here, which were built by Luo Luyan and others. In one of the underground secret rooms, Luo Luyan's group of 5 sat together. Su Yiling pouted, looked at Luo Luyan, and asked, Master, why are you in such a hurry? I haven't finished the celestial dragon meat yet. Yeah, Leader Luo, that taste is simply the best in the world. One Runshur said, just one bite, and I've broken through a few levels. It's too scary. Stewing so many immortal herbs at the same time, this is truly unprecedented. I didn't expect that I, Chun Dao Ming, could eat it. I have no regrets in this life. Chun Dao Ming's eyes were full of brilliance. I think we should eat for a while more. Mu Bing said. Didn't you see the young master's worried face? Luo Luyan said. As soon as he said that, everyone revealed a thoughtful look. After a while, Su Yiling's eyes flashed. Master, I saw it. When the seniors of the Mu family left, the young master was very worried. He was afraid that they would fail to break through and wanted to persuade them to stay. Bang! A violent knock directly hit Su Yiling's head. Master, why did you hit me? Su Yiling looked aggrieved. With your brain, I really don't know what to think. Luo Luyan shook her head for a while. Leader Luo, what instructions does the young master have? Chun Dao Ming asked. Actually, this time, young master has 2 things to instruct. Luo Luyan said. 2? Really? Su Yiling scratched her head, looking confused. The first thing the young master said about fishing, does everyone remember? Luo Luyan asked. I remember that the young master wanted to fish with us. Su Yiling was the first to raise her hand. Bang! Luo Luyan knocked Su Yiling's head again. Master, why did you hit me again? Su Yiling looked aggrieved. What did master teach you? Use your brain more. Is your brain made of paste? Luo Luyan sighed secretly, showing a look of hatred for iron and steel. Alliance leader Luo, is something wrong? Is there a deeper meaning in this? Chun Dao Ming asked. Of course. Luo Luyan nodded heavily. In today's world, the other races are eyeing us like tigers eyeing their prey. The human race is in a precarious situation, yet they are fighting for themselves. Does the young master know about these? Luo Luyan asked. The young master has calculated everything. He naturally knows these. When Runshur said, what kind of fish is the young master fishing? Luo Luyan continued to ask. Of course, it's the 4 generals of the dragon clan and the immortal dragon. When Runshur said, everyone, do you think that young master is looking for us when he's looking for someone to fish? Can we fish out an immortal dragon? Do we know the angling Tao? Luo Luyan's words made everyone speechless. Leader Luo, don't play dumb, just say it directly. Chun Dao Ming said. All right, young master, since you have predicted that the human race is in danger, and now you mention fishing, you mean to find an immortal who knows the great Tao of fishing to command the situation. The human race is in a state of disunity. Only the immortals can unite their forces. The young master is cultivating in seclusion, and it's not convenient for him to come out directly. Does everyone understand? Luo Luyan said. As soon as these words came out, Hiss, the sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air rose and fell. The young master's intentions were so profound. If not for Alliance leader Luo, who would have been able to comprehend it? Master is really amazing. I thought the young master was just looking for us to fish. I'm so stupid. Su Yiling's face showed an embarrassed smile, and she blushed. I didn't even think of it a little bit. Compared with Alliance leader Luo, it's too far away. Chen Daoming lowered his head and sighed secretly. When Renshi and Mu Bing also blushed and were ashamed. What about the second thing? The second thing is that something big is going to happen in the northern region. What? Everyone's eyes widened, and their faces were full of disbelief. When did the young master point out that something big was going to happen in the northern region? At this moment, even Chen Daoming was confused. Alliance leader Luo, does the young master have this instruction? Chen Daoming asked. Fellow Daoist Chen, do you remember when we were eating, the young master stood up, looked twice in the direction of the northern region, and frowned? Luo Luyan said. Chen Daoming thought secretly, and then nodded suddenly. Yes, there is such a thing. It turns out that the young master is indicating that something big is going to happen in the northern region. Alliance leader Luo, you are amazing. No one can match your understanding. Yes, Alliance leader Luo, but the young master pointed out that there is a big event in the northern region. What is the specific big event? The northern region is so big. How shall we find it? Hearing these words, Luo Luyan shook her head for a while. This is why I am in a hurry to leave. If I don't figure out what the young master has told me, I can't feel at ease. Luo Luyan said. In that case, let's think about it. The young master's words and deeds. Chen Daoming said. Good. Then all five of them showed a look of hard thinking and began to think. Everyone thought of something and opened their mouths to say it. A few hours later, the five of them stood there, looking dispirited. The young master's instructions are too profound and difficult to understand at all. Yes, what should we do? Go ask the young master? Absolutely not. Luo Luyan refused sternly. The young master's cultivation is pure, and he can point out the northern region without caring about the damage to his Tao heart. If we run directly to ask, we will definitely break the young master's Tao heart. We need to deal with the affairs of the northern region by ourselves. Speaking of this, Luo Luyan looked at Chen Daoming, fellow Daoist Chen. Didn't the Red Refining Sect in the northern region join the Evil Suppression Alliance? You ask them, has there been any major events recently? Good. Chen Daoming nodded, took out the communication jade slip directly, and sent a message on it. A moment later, he received a reply. How is it? There is no major event, but there is a small matter in the Red Refining Sect. Chen Daoming said. What small matter? Recently, the Red Refining Sect dug out a kind of crimson ore, and their miners disappeared inexplicably. Every day, there are at least 2 people, and at most dozens of people. Chen Daoming said. What? This is not a small matter. It is obviously a big matter. Do they know what the crimson ore is? Luo Luyan asked. I don't know. Chen Daoming shook his head. Is that so? Luo Luyan frowned slightly, showing a thoughtful look. In that case, fellow Daoist Chen, please leave immediately, go to the Red Refining Sect, and investigate this matter. By the way, Dean Wen has excellent knowledge. He must know this, or... Little Bing, your strength is infinitely close to an immortal. Please follow him. Luo Luyan said. Yes, Leader Luo. Everyone nodded in unison. Leader Luo, there is still one thing I don't understand. Chen Daoming asked. Please speak. Now, the Dragon Clan's immortal dragon has been eaten by us, and I think soon, the Dragon Lord will know about this. With the personality of the Dragon Lord, he will definitely lead the army and slaughter the Tianluo continent. Don't we care about this? Chen Daoming said. As soon as these words came out, hiss, everyone took a breath of cold air. The Dragon Lord was ruthless and merciless. He would never let go of the death of his generals. Once the army was sent, it would be a disaster for the human race. Seeing everyone's worried expression, Luo Luyan smiled slightly. It's not that we don't care, but the young master didn't let us care at all. I think the young master will have other arrangements for this matter. We just need to do our own things. Chapter 174. Seeing everyone's worried expression, Luo Luyan smiled slightly. He looked at the crowd and asked, "What did the young master say when he killed the immortal dragon today?" The young master seems to have said, "Big eel, do you still want to jump on my hands?" Chen Dao Ming said, "That's right, that's it." The young master's meaning is obvious. Everything in the dragon race is under the control of the young master. Luo Luyan said. As soon as these words came out, everyone stood on the spot, unable to calm down for a long time. It turned out that every action and every word of the young master contained a deep meaning. He was so stupid that he couldn't understand it and could only see the superficial meaning. He was simply too stupid. "Leader Luo, your words made me feel enlightened," Chen Daoming said. "You're welcome, fellow Daoist Chun, Old One, Little Bing. You guys go to the northern region immediately, without delay," Luo Luyan said. "Yes, Alliance Leader Luo." Chen Daoming and the other two walked out of the attic, soared into the sky, turned into a rainbow, and quickly disappeared. "Master, what about us? Should we guard this place?" As soon as Su Yiling thought of the immortal dragon meat, her stomach cried out unconsciously. "No." Luo Luyan shook her head. "This master has something to do. You just stay here." "Master, where are you going?" "I will accompany you. I am very strong now," Su Yiling said. "I'm going to complete the young master's first task," Luo Luyan said. "The first one? Are you going to find Old Man Jiuyo?" Su Yiling asked. "Yes." Luo Luyan nodded. "Master, didn't Old Man Jiuyo die long ago?" "Die my ass." After speaking, Luo Luyan knocked Su Yiling's head again. "Master, why did you still hit me?" Su Yiling looked aggrieved. You deserve it. How dare you doubt the young master? The young master has no omissions. How can he be wrong?" Luo Luyan said. "Oh." Su Yiling nodded. Luo Luyan looked at Su Yiling. "The affairs of Jade Lake Palace will be handed over to you. I'll be back in at least 2 years, or at most 10 years. Stay at home and don't waste your time. You must work hard on your cultivation. Do you understand?" Luo Luyan said. "Master, the world is so big. Where are you going to find it? I have my ways. All right, I'm leaving now." After that, Luo Luyan soared into the sky and disappeared into the horizon. Purple Sunstar, somewhere at the bottom of the sea, there were many palaces. In a large hall, people sang and danced to celebrate peace. It was a joyous occasion. Sitting on the main seat was none other than the Purple Sunstar Dragon Lord, Qing Fu. "My beloved ministers, cheers." "Cheers, master." It was a festive atmosphere as the cups were exchanged. Report. At this moment, a messenger quickly came and knelt on the ground. "Why are you so flustered?" A hint of displeasure appeared on Qing Fu's face. Reporting to Dragon Lord, Jin Shuai's envoy has come to report that Jin Shuai's soul lamp has shattered, the messenger soldier said. As soon as these words came out, "Tongue!" Grasshopper immediately stood up, a fierce light flashing in her eyes. "What did you say?" "General Jin's soul lamp has shattered." The surroundings were deathly silent. Qing Fu's expression kept changing. After a long while, "Summon the messenger." "Yes." After a while, a few men bowed and walked over quickly. Plop. One by one, they knelt in front of Grasshopper, crying bitterly. "Speak. What is the specific situation?" Grasshopper said. "Master, it's like this." A man stood up and said. "What?" The human race rebelled. Grasshopper's aura was released, and the surrounding porcelain jars all shattered into powder. He clenched his fists, cracking them, and his face was full of anger. "What about the priest? Have you figured out who did it?" "Master, the priest is calculated, but he suffered a backlash and died. Before the priest died, he told me that the Jin Shuai had been eaten by the human race." "What? Eaten by the human race?" The corner of Grasshopper's mouth twitched slightly. Anger surged up, and his chest seemed to be about to explode. "Anything else?" "Also," the priest warned, "Dragon Lord must not take revenge. Otherwise, the dragon race will be in danger." "What did you say?" Grasshopper clenched his fists, his face full of anger. "You must not take revenge. otherwise the dragon race will be in danger. Just as he finished, huff! A ball of blue flame flew out of Grasshopper's hand and instantly flew to the man's eyebrows. No! The shouting stopped abruptly. Bang! The man was burned to ashes and died, tragically on the spot. Such a scene strongly stimulated everyone's eyes. Everyone prostrated on the ground, shivering, boosting the morale of others and destroying our own prestige. My dignified dragon race, passed down from ancient times, has always ruled the 3 realms, suppressed the 9 continents, and once the command is given, no one dares to disobey. Today you eat a few small sects of the human race, and you want to kill my race. You say, should this hatred be avenged? Grasshopper's eyes were like knives, sweeping across everyone. Her voice was like thunder, resounding in everyone's ears. Retribution, retribution. Bullying my dragon race. Such ants must be slaughtered. Dragon Lord, let me lead the army. Dragon Lord, leave this matter to me. One by one, they stood up, revealing a look of righteous indignation. Grasshopper waved her hand, and the surroundings immediately quieted down. The human race must be slaughtered. Although my race is strong, we don't have enough manpower. Pass my order. Blow the thunder horn and summon the 3 armies. All the dragons of the purple sun star, no matter where they are, must gather at the drill ground within a month, otherwise behead. Grasshopper's voice spread to everyone's ears. Yes, Dragon Lord. The messenger quickly retreated. Immediately afterward, ooh, a low and deep sound rang out. This sound, with a special frequency, can only be heard by the dragon race. This sound, based on water and the earth, quickly spread throughout the entire purple sun star. Somewhere in the purple sun star, a dragon who was cultivating suddenly opened his eyes. Dragon Lord summons, war is imminent. I don't know what the hell is going on. We must gather quickly. He shook his body and transformed into a man. Walking out of the cave, he rushed straight into the sky and disappeared into the horizon. Scenes like this were staged in many places in the purple sun star. At this moment, the purple sun star was surging. Daki Mountain is located in the south of the northern region, where the water mist is steaming like a fairyland. On this day, a flying boat docked above Daki Mountain. 3 figures descended from the sky. These 3 people were none other than Jean Tianpeng and the other 2. With a wave of his right hand, Jean Tianpeng kept the flying boat in the spiritual space. Young master, look, that is the Jade Pearl Cave Mansion. An old man pointed to a mountain peak and said, Great! Jean Tianpeng looked at the mountain peak, his eyes flashing. I think I've searched all over the cave mansion just to find the immortal. I didn't expect you Jeezy to still be here. Young master, then shall we fly up? No. Jean Tianpeng directly waved his hand and refused. We are looking for the immortal to do something. It seems very rude to fly up directly. We must go up step by step. That way it will be sincere. I think immortal Ujizi will also summon us when he sees us. Jean Tianpeng said, Yes, young master. The 2 old men nodded in unison and followed Jean Tianpeng up the mountain. Chapter 175. Jade Pearl Cave Abode. A sage-like old man suddenly opened his eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, looking kind and benevolent. He was Lai Shang's master, Ujizi, and also one of the 9 immortals of the human race. Stargazing towers, Jean Tianpeng greets Senior Ujizi. At that moment, a voice could be heard from outside the cave. Come in, Ujizi said. Outside the cave, Jean Tianpeng's chest tightened, and he was filled with disbelief. Then, he strode forward, passed through the barrier of the dwelling, and entered the dwelling. When he arrived at the center of the cave, he saw Ujizi sitting cross-legged on the ground with a smile on his face. His benevolent appearance made others feel as if they were bathing in the spring breeze, making them feel very comfortable. Greetings, Senior. Jean Tianpeng knelt down and bowed respectfully towards Ujizi. Why are you looking for me? Ujizi stroked his long beard and smiled. I came to find Senior this time because I was entrusted by a peerless immortal. Jean Tianpeng said, "Supreme Immortal? Since you found the Celestial, why are you looking for me?" You, Jeezy muttered to himself. His expression didn't change at all. "What is it exactly?" "Senior, the peerless immortal wants you to dress up as the godly cunning immortal and appear in front of the world," Jean Tianpeng said. "Godly cunning immortal? I've never heard of this name before." You, Jeezy thought. "Are you trying to make me a scapegoat? In your dreams, did that godly cunning immortal cause a great disaster and use this plan to frame this old man, trying to pull the wool over my eyes? What good plan? I won't let you get away with it." You, Jeezy pondered for a while, but he did not show it on his face. He looked at Jean Tianpeng and smiled. "Godly cunning immortal? Why haven't I heard of this person before?" "Senior, the godly cunning immortal is actually a name given by other immortal cultivators, specifically like this." Then Jean Tianpeng began to speak. You, Jeezy listened to him in disbelief. "Save Jiangyang and kill the Earth Fiend. He had to save the Jade Lake and kill the 4 generals. Exterminating the Blood Phoenix, beheading the Pharaoh, saving the West Mansion. Which matter was not earth-shattering. There was actually such a person in the human race? If there were a few more such figures, how could the human race have declined? If that's the case, doesn't that mean I have to fight against the demon race and the evil race? How is this any different from courting death? Humph! Only an idiot would do such a thing." "Senior, of course, your disguise as the godly cunning immortal is naturally not free. I have a treasure for you. I hope you will accept it. If you do well, I can even bring you to see that peerless celestial. I'm sure you'll be able to obtain some amazing fortune. Becoming a Xian immortal is not a problem," Jean Tianpeng said. Hearing this, you, Jeezy almost burst out laughing. "Treasure? Little guy, what can you take out? Also, what peerless immortal? Are you crazy? Which of the 9 immortals of the human race have I not seen? Even Zhong Lizi didn't dare call himself a peerless immortal. You're still calling him a peerless immortal?" He. You, Jeezy's expression did not change. He smiled at Jean Tianpeng and asked, "Treasure? What treasure?" "Senior, it's this." After saying that, Jean Tianpeng took out a scroll. This scroll was called Ascend to Heights, which Luo Luyan exchanged with him. As soon as this scroll was taken out, a flash of anger flashed in Yujizi's eyes. "Senior, this is the treasure of my stargazing tower." Jean Tianpeng respectfully presented the scroll forward. "Treasure? Could it be that there are other mysteries?" Yujizi took the scroll and slowly unfolded it. Immediately, he stood there stupidly. "Immortal wood. It's actually made of immortal wood. Extravagant too extravagant, as expected of the stargazing tower. To actually use immortal wood as a paper stamp, it's really not comparable to ordinary forces. Not to mention anything else. The price of this paper stamp alone was worth tens of thousands of immortal crystals." When the scroll was completely opened, Yujizi opened his mouth wide and muttered to himself, shocked beyond words. He saw that in the scroll, there were 2 blurred figures, hugging each other, overlooking the mountains below. The kind of sharp aura was extremely sharp. At this moment, Yujizi felt uncomfortable all over, as if facing a peerless immortal. Phew, the Tao rhyme was like the sea, rushing out. It was overwhelming, enveloping the entire cave. At this moment, Yujizi's eyes widened, and his breathing was uneven. His heart seemed to jump out of his throat, extremely uncomfortable. He had not felt this way in tens of thousands of years since he became an immortal. Although his own writing and painting could also have Tao rhyme. Compared with this painting, it was like a firefly in the sun. There was no way to compare. This painting must have been painted by a peerless immortal with a supreme immortal object. This kind of treasure, each one is worth at least hundreds of thousands of immortal crystals. Moreover, it's priceless. He actually said he would give it to me? Is he kidding? For a moment, Yujizi felt like he was dreaming. He looked at Jean Tianpeng and said, "Are you sure you want to give it to this old man?" "Of course." Jean Tianpeng nodded. "As long as the senior calls himself the godly cunning immortal and walks the world, you can get this treasure." Calling himself the godly cunning immortal? This was obviously a huge pit. If he dared to call himself the godly cunning immortal, he might be destroyed by the evil spirits. If he didn't call himself the godly cunning immortal, then wouldn't this supreme treasure slip away from under his nose? No, he must get it in his hands. Thinking like this, Jeezy secretly nodded. So, if this old man doesn't agree, you're going to take the painting back? Jeezy said. That's right. Jean Tianping nodded. However, do you think you have the ability to do so? After saying that, Jeezy waved his right hand, and a barrier instantly enveloped Jean Tianping. Jean Tianping's whole body was imprisoned, unable to move at all. Hurry up and send the message. Jean Tianping roared. However, two figures flew into the cave abode uncontrollably. These two people were the two old men who followed Jean Tianping. Uncle Fong, Uncle Zheng. Jean Tianping looked shocked. Young master, don't say it. In front of an immortal, we are not a match. Speaking of this, Jean Tianping looked at Jeezy. Senior, do you want to kill us? No, Jeezy smiled slightly. I don't have the guts to kill the direct descendants of the Jean family. This old man is only trapping you here. After 80 to 100 years, the array will automatically break, and you will regain your freedom. However, at that time, this old man's strength will improve by leaps and bounds, and I will no longer have to fear your Jean family. Little guy, stay here, don't struggle. After saying that, Jeezy's figure flashed and instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already at the south side of the Grand Primordium mine in the northern region. He held the painting in his hand, and his eyes emitted a strange light. With this treasure, this old man will become a yellow immortal soon. In the future, it is not impossible for me to become a Xian immortal. No, an earth immortal. Disciple, with this painting, this old man can come in and save you. Jeezy looked at the continuous mountain range of the Grand Primordium mine and nodded secretly. Suddenly, Jeezy's expression changed drastically. The painting in his hand trembled violently, as if it was about to break out of his control. Not good. Jeezy extracted immortal power and began to suppress it. After a while, the painting gradually stopped, and it became quiet. Good fellow, he still has a temper. Chapter 176. UG Cave Mansion. Young Master, this is a restriction set up by an immortal. We can't break it at all. Elder Fong said. Don't worry, it can be broken. Jean Tianping's face showed a smile. Can be broken? Young Master, are you kidding? Elder Fong said. Of course. After saying that, Jean Tianping took out a picture scroll. Looking at it, this picture scroll was Maneki Nico. Senior, please help break this restriction. After Jean Tianping finished speaking, his right hand pressed on the picture scroll. The immortal power of the Dantian stretched and flowed into the body of Maneki Nico. Maneki Nico instantly lit up with a dazzling golden light and flew out of the picture scroll. Subsequently, Maneki Nico gently waved its claws. Kacha, the barrier cracked and collapsed in an instant. The two old men stared with wide eyes and a look of disbelief. Okay, don't just stand there, let's go. Yes, young master. The two old men followed Jean Tianping out of the Yuji Cave Mansion and stood at the door. Young master, the task assigned by the young master has not been completed. What should we do? Elder Fong said. Since the young master said there is no hurry, then we have plenty of time. One day, since he did not agree to be the godly cunning immortal, there will always be someone else. Jean Tianping said. The two old men nodded. Young master, last time we owed the young master so many immortal crystals. Should we return it to the young master? Elder Zheng said. As soon as these words came out, Jean Tianping nodded secretly. The task was not completed, and I feel guilty. However, the most important thing now is to return the immortal crystals first. After saying that, Jean Tianping waved his right hand and summoned the immortal boat. The three of them soared into the sky and flew onto the immortal boat. Young master. At this time, Elder Fong stood up. Uncle Fong, if you have something to say, there is no one else here. Jean Tianping said. Young master, There's still a few months to the decennial assessment. Our inventory in Penglai continent is only more than 5 million immortal crystals. Is still far from 10 million. If this goes on, we will only have 5 million at the end of the year. I'm afraid we won't be able to explain it to the family. Elder Fong said. Uncle Fong, don't worry. Jean Tianpeng smiled faintly and took out 4 boat cores, causing the 2 old men's eyes to light up. Jean Tianpeng smiled and said, This thing, with this one, will definitely surpass everyone's performance this year. Young master, even if that's the case, I'm afraid that others will take this opportunity to plot against you. Don't worry. Any conspiracy is a joke in front of absolute strength. Jean Tianpeng said. The 2 elders nodded. Indeed, obtaining this kind of good fortune with the young master was enough to sweep away the entire family. Let's go. Let's take out all the immortal crystals from the Tianluo continent's treasury and pay off the debt we owe to the young master first. As for the rest, we will use it to buy the boat core made by young master. Jean Tianpeng said. Young master, are you going to buy the boat cores to sell? No. Jean Tianpeng smiled and shook his head. On this planet, the number of people who can afford it can be counted on one hand. When I go back this time, I'm going to take all of the art cores back to the mother planet and auction them off. Young master, I'm afraid this is inappropriate. Why? Young master, the birth of such a treasure will definitely set off a storm of blood, and it will be a disaster for our stargazing tower. Elder Fong said. That makes sense. Jean Tianpeng nodded slightly. If that's the case, then I won't sell it for now. How will the performance be reported? Elder Zheng said. Don't worry, there are still a few months. Jean Tianpeng said. Suddenly, buzz, a vibration sounded. Elder Fong took out the communication jade slip and looked at it, and his eyes bloomed. Young master, Uncle Fong, please speak. The Fong family dug up the 5-spirit immortal gold. Elder Fong said. 5-spirit immortal gold? Jean Tianpeng asked. Yes, young master. I heard that it is a huge 5-spirit immortal gold mine, and the number is incalculable. A conservative estimate is at least 5 million immortal crystals. Elder Fong said. 5 million? Jean Tianpeng's eyes widened, full of disbelief. Even the stargazing tower earned only a few 100,000 immortal crystals a year in the Purple Sun Star. And such a mine was worth 5 million immortal crystals, which was equivalent to 10 years of income of the stargazing tower. If they accepted it and used it to sell, then the task could be completed with immortal crystals alone. However, would the Fong family be able to swallow such a huge mine? If this was spread out, it would definitely cause a bloody storm. Young master, the Fong family definitely can't swallow such a big mine, why don't we? Elder Fong said. As soon as these words came out, Jean Tianpeng looked like he was looking at a monster. Aren't you a member of the Fong family yourself? How dare you still have ideas about the Fong family? No, we just need to buy and let others fight for the rest. Elder Zheng immediately sent a message to the headquarters of Penglai continent and let them transfer all the immortal crystals. Jean Tianpeng said. Yes, young master. Sun Hao's residence in the backyard. A flying boat with a length of 100 meters, a width of 10 meters, and a height of 15 meters was placed there. This flying boat was carved by Sun Hao and Mo Hao sure in these days. Now, the prototype of the flying boat had been formed, and the internal space was all carved. Compared with the average flying boat, it was very small, but there were also nearly 100 rooms inside. There was a study, a kitchen, a living room, a chess and card room. In addition to these, there were cultivation rooms, refining rooms, alchemy rooms. In addition, there were blacksmithing rooms, carving rooms, textile rooms. The rest were 10 rooms. It could be said to be full. And Mo Hao sure followed behind Sun Hao, looking at these unheard of rooms, and couldn't help but widen his eyes. And Mo Hao sure looked at Sun Hao's back with a face of worship. A moment later, he followed Sun Hao to the main control room. Next, I will carve the great array. You watch carefully. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. And Mo Hao sure was fully focused, staring at Sun Hao's hand. He saw that Sun Hao took the carving knife and began to engrave. The carving knife in his hand was as agile as a snake, moving extremely fast. An ancient array pattern was engraved by Sun Hao. The entire main control room was densely packed with array patterns. These array patterns were connected to each other, emitting a shocking power. When the engraving of the array pattern was completed, Ancestor opened his mouth wide and didn't close it for a long time. What is this great array? Even if it is not activated, it can make me feel daunted. If it is activated, I am afraid that even immortals can't break it. The young master's method of setting up the array is incredible. As long as I learn a part of the young master's technique, it is enough to dominate the entire refining world. Ancestor murmured, his eyes revealing an incomparably firm gaze. Glancing at Ancestor's surprised expression, the corner of Sun Hao's mouth raised slightly with a touch of arrogance. His carpentry and carving skills were all supreme, and cultivators would be surprised to see them. Now, the carving of the boat protection array was completed. Only the last step was left. That was to make the boat core. This flying boat would only be used by himself and Ru Ming in the future. That boat core naturally must be the best. These days, because he had read the mysterious heavenly pattern, he had a pretty good idea. This idea was to connect all the array patterns on the mysterious heavenly pattern together. Of course, there was also his own innovation. He didn't know how powerful it would be after it was engraved. Ru Ming, give me the best-looking piece of wood. Yes, young master. Chapter 177. This is... Ancestor's eyes widened and stared blankly. 9 colors? There are only 9 colors of glass wood and 9 color Chilean wood. 9-color glass wood is just a spirit wood. Could it be that this is the legendary 9-color Chilean wood? Old Ancestor. This is the supreme immortal wood. Its value is immeasurable. I'm afraid the entire Tianluo continent, no? 10 Tianluo continents are not worth this 9-color Chilean wood. Ancestor opened his mouth wide and muttered to himself. He didn't close it for a long time. He saw that in Sun Hao's hand, there was a giant wood directly up to 1 meter. Above the giant wood, the 9 colors of light kept flowing, and it was suffocating to see. Look carefully. After speaking, Sun Hao moved quickly, and a giant ball with a diameter of 1 meter formed. Immediately afterward, lines of ancient formation patterns were engraved on the immortal wood. These formation patterns were intertwined and connected to each other. Half an hour later, Sun Hao stopped. In front of him, there was a huge boat core. On the boat core, it was densely covered with ancient formation patterns. These formation patterns, after being strengthened, improved, and fused, were completely a whole. The number of formation patterns was as many as 1,000,000. This Ancestor stared blankly, and his shock was indescribable. The core of the boat contained shocking power. Although it was not activated, if it exploded, it was enough to destroy the world. Ancestor could confirm that if this boat core exploded, the entire Tianluo continent would be moved to the ground. At a glance, Ancestor's heart jumped, and he quickly withdrew his gaze. This boat core is too terrifying. It is at least 1,000,000 times stronger than the one that the young master gave me a few days ago. No, more than 10 million times. Ancestor muttered to himself, shocked for a long time. Sun Hao took out all the remaining immortal crystals and placed them on the boat core. All the immortal crystals turned into blue light and poured into the boat core. However, only tens of thousands of formation patterns were activated. Sun Hao looked at this scene, and his forehead couldn't help but turn black. The immortal crystals were used up, and not even 1/10 of the formation patterns were activated. To fully activate it, it would take tens of thousands of immortal crystals. Where could he find so many immortal crystals? Hey, there are no immortal crystals. It seems that it can't be activated for the time being. Sun Hao sighed secretly. As soon as these words came out, boom! It was as if a thunderclap had struck Ancestor's head. Young master didn't have any immortal crystals. To say it in front of me on purpose. The meaning was so obvious, yet I foolishly didn't understand it. The young master seemed to have mentioned it before, but she didn't take it to heart. Damn it! Helping the young master solve his problems is what a disciple should do. Young master, don't worry. I will return immediately and gather the entire weapon pavilion. We will work hard to earn celestial crystals for you. Don't worry. Mo Hausher secretly clenched his fists, his face firm. Come on, let's get out of here. We'll talk about it when we have immortal crystals in the future. Yes, young master. The three of them walked out of the flying ship and arrived at the front yard. At this moment, young master, are you home? Jean Tianping's voice came from outside the courtyard. Sun Hao raised his eyebrows and his eyes lit up. Young master Jean? Young master, I'll open the door. All right. After a while, Jean Tianping and the other two came to Sun Hao and saluted respectfully. Greetings, young master. You're welcome, young master Jean. Please have a seat. Many thanks, young master. Jean Tianping took out a bag and presented it respectfully in front of Sun Hao. Young master, there are 50,000 fairy crystals here. Other than the 4,000 I owe you last time, the remaining 45,000 can be considered as a deposit. If you have any boat cores in the future, we will take them all, Jean Tianping said. As soon as these words came out, Sun Hao's eyes sparkled. Coincidentally, he lacked immortal crystals and was unable to activate the boat core. Who would have thought that Jean Tianping would immediately send it over? What a good person. With these 50,000 immortal crystals, he might be able to activate the boat core. Young Master Jean, you are too polite. When I have time, I will engrave the boat core. Sun Hao said, Yes, young master, the boat cores you sell to me in the future do not need to be activated. Jean Tianping said, No need to activate it? So good. Didn't that mean that he had no capital at all? This was simply too wonderful. Thank you, young master Jean, Sun Hao said with a smile. The more he looked at Jean Tianping, the more satisfied he was. Young master, Jean Tianping wanted to say something but hesitated, his face full of shame. Young master Jean, if you have something to say, just say it. Sun Hao said, Young master, I failed to find the godly cunning immortal. I am really ashamed. Jean Tianping said, Young master Jean, don't worry. This matter is not urgent at all. Sun Hao said. Hearing these words, Jean Tianping let out a long sigh of relief and relaxed. Young master Jean, you are here today. No matter what, you have to eat before you leave. Sun Hao said, Thank you, young master. Since the last time he ate tofu, it was unforgettable. The young master's tofu was simply the best taste in the world, making people linger and forget to return. If it weren't for the shame, he would often come to eat the young master's tofu. Jean Tianping's face was full of brilliance. You guys are lucky. I still have an eel to eat. This eel is not simple. I will take you to see it. After speaking, Sun Hao walked forward. What? Eel? This kind of secular thing the young master actually likes to eat? He still said he was lucky? Young master, I want to eat your tofu. Don't eat the eel, okay? Jean Tianping's face was full of bitterness. He sighed helplessly and followed Sun Hao. Walking into the backyard, what greeted Jean Tianping's eyes was a small flying boat. This is the supreme immortal wood. Was this made by the young master? It's too powerful. It's a pity that it's a little small. Otherwise, it will definitely sell for a good price. Jean Tianping looked at the immortal boat, opened his mouth wide, and muttered for a long time. Young master, did you build this flying boat? Jean Tianping asked. Yes, I built it with old Mo. Sun Hao nodded. I'll let young master Jean see a joke. It can only be made with wood. If there is iron, or it will definitely be better. As soon as these words came out, bang! Like a heavy blow, it hit Jean Tianping's head fiercely. The young master needs iron ore. This matter must be firmly remembered. Of course. Jean Tianping nodded. Come with me. I'll take you to see this big eel. Sun Hao said, Yes, young master. Leaving the immortal boat, Jean Tianping and the other two glanced around. Their pupils contracted, and their faces were full of shock. Young master, look, there are all immortal fruits over there. Each of these immortal fruits is worth at least 10 immortal crystals. How much is such a large piece worth? I think at least a few 100 million immortal crystals. It turns out that the young master is so rich. On our mother planet, he is definitely a great god. Look there. That's enlightenment tea. What? A piece of enlightenment tea tree. That piece is immortal tea, and it's the supreme immortal tea. Each tea leaf is worth 10 middle-grade immortal crystals. That's the immortal divine medicine, my god, there's so much. Young master, such a large piece, it should be worth 10 stargazing towers, right? Jean Tianpeng and the others felt like their chests were hit hard, and they couldn't calm down for a long time. That kind of shock, that kind of disbelief was indescribable. Look, this eel, isn't it big enough? At this time, a voice awakened the three. Chapter 178. Looking down, Jean Tianpeng realized that he had arrived at the side of a pond. Looking inside, Jean Tianpeng's pupils couldn't help but narrow. What? This is called eel? Heavens! Isn't this a dragon? From the looks of it, he was at least a dragon general. Young master caught them here and prepared to eat them like eels? Young master, this is a dragon general. Elder Fong's voice was trembling and his face was pale as he sent a divine sense message to Jean Tianpeng. I know. Jean Tianpeng nodded slightly. Young master, I'm afraid that these are the dragons who are preparing to slaughter the West Prefecture immortal city. As soon as these words came out, Jean Tianpeng's pupils constricted. He was naturally aware of what happened in West Prefecture immortal city. Didn't they say that it was old man Jiuyo who did it? Could it be that it wasn't the old man Jiuyo at all, but the young master? Young master had long disliked them and was prepared to eat them? No, it had already eaten them. Now, there was only one left. Thinking of this. Hiss, Jean Tianpeng sucked in a breath of cold air, his body trembling violently. Since ancient times, there had never been such a record of eating dragons. Even the strongest human on his home planet did not dare to eat it. That was because there was a terrifying existence behind the dragon clan. That kind of existence was extremely terrifying. A person like him didn't even have the qualifications to stand in front of him. The young master ate so casually. Did he really not know? Or was he completely unafraid of that terrifying existence? No matter which one it was, the young master's strength was an unimaginable existence. This, Jean Tianpeng gasped again. After taking a few deep breaths, he finally calmed down. Young Master Jean, look, it's still alive and kicking. It's quite fresh. The taste will definitely be delicious. At this moment, a voice woke Jean Tianpeng up. Looking in the direction of the voice, he saw Sun Hao pressing one hand on Long Jiang. No matter how much it squeaked, it was unable to break free. Suddenly, Long Jiang's eyes were fixed on Jean Tianpeng. Young Master Jean, save me, save my life. Our dragon clan will never forget such a great favor. At this time, two voices entered Jean Tianpeng's ears. Jean Tianpeng shook his head. Do you think I have the ability to save you from the hands of the young master? I don't have that ability, Jean Tianpeng said. If you don't save me, you won't have a good end. If the Juggernaut learns of this, he will definitely uproot your stargazing tower. Faster, faster. Roars of anger entered Jean Tianpeng's ears. Subsequently, bang, a sound rang out. The hammer knocked Long Jiang unconscious. Young master, damn it, this dragon general actually dares to threaten us. That's right, in front of the young master, what kind of storm can they create? Jean Tianpeng secretly shook his head. It's right, the dragon race has this ability. If the dragon race's ruler finds out about this, it will definitely implicate the stargazing tower. What? The expressions of the two old men changed. Young master, what should we do? There's no other way. We can only take it one step at a time. However, remember, dragon meat must never be eaten. Otherwise, your body will carry the aura of the dragon race, and the dragon race's secret art will sense it. On my mother planet, there are many dragons in human form. If they see us, the consequences will be unimaginable. Jean Tianpeng said. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the two old men changed, and their bodies kept shaking. Young master, the young master is so enthusiastic to make dragon meat for us. If we don't eat it, the young master will be angry. I'm afraid this. Jean Tianping's chest stagnated, and he was speechless for a while. Indeed, once you don't eat it, you will definitely miss the amazing fortune. If you start eating, it is likely to be discovered by the dragon race, which will bring a devastating blow to the stargazing tower. Tell the truth? That was to break the young master's Tao heart. Without the young master taking action, he would be crushed into pieces by the big shots around him in minutes. What should I do? Young master, can you make tofu to eat today? I like to eat the tofu you make. Jean Tianping said. As soon as these words came out, Sun Hao looked stunned. Tofu. No problem. No problem. Then I will make an eel stewed with tofu today. After Sun Hao finished speaking, he began to move with Huang Rumeng. He set up the big pot and burned the immortal fire. The eel was marinated to remove the fishy smell and fried. The outside was crispy and tender, and the fragrance was overflowing. The pieces of golden yellow made people salivate. After that, he fished out the eel meat, boiled the water, and blanched the tofu. Stir-fry the ginger, onion, and garlic, add the boiling water, and put the eel meat and tofu into the pot to cook together. He covered the pot and waited quietly. Rumeng, go pick some wild vegetables. Yes, young master. Huang Rumeng left quickly. A moment later, she picked a pot of immortal divine medicine. Seeing this scene, Jean Tianping's scalp exploded. What? Immortal divine medicine? A pot? Could it be used to cook? Isn't this too extravagant? Even in the stargazing tower, there were only a dozen or so immortal divine medicine. Only evildoers were qualified to enjoy it. Although he was a direct descendant, the gap was too far compared with the evildoers. Not to mention enjoying it, he was not even qualified to see it. Now, there was such a pot of immortal divine medicine. Looking at the number, there were at least hundreds of them. My God, eating hundreds of immortal divine medicine as a dish. Who could do it in the world today? Even if the dragon race's terrifying existence saw this scene, he would probably be shocked. Not to mention anything else, just this heroic spirit. In the entire world, no one could compare with a young master. Young master, there's so many immortal divine medicine. Do we still eat this dragon meat? Young master, it's all falling down, fragrant, too fragrant, this can't be. Young master, let me eat it for you. Even if I die, I will die without regrets. Hearing these two voices, Jean Tianping's forehead turned black. Humph, who said I won't eat? Dragon meat stewed with hundreds of immortal divine medicine. Even if I eat one piece, I will die without regrets. Young master, are you not afraid of the dragon race? What's there to be afraid of? In the future, as long as we are tied to the young master's big boat, there is nothing to be afraid of. Young master is wise. Listen up. In the future, if the young master has any instructions, you must not say a word of no. Jean Tianping said. Yes, young master. After a series of voice transmissions, the three of them showed incomparable excitement on their faces. In their eyes, there was a firm look. Mo Haosher looked at the changing expressions of the three people, and the corners of his mouth rose. Thinking back to when he ate his first dragon, he was also scared half to death. Now, after eating a lot of dragon meat, his strength grew rapidly. His realm alone had reached the 8th-step, half-immortal realm. He was much stronger than Jean Tianping and the others. If it weren't for the young master, he would definitely praise them. However, it seemed that there was no chance. When they ate the dragon meat, they would definitely crush him. AI, Mo Haosher sighed heavily. It's almost ready. Old Mo, go and call Miss Yiling. Sun Hao said. Yes, young master. Mo Haosher was preparing to act. At this time, young master, are you at home? Su Yiling's voice came from outside the courtyard door. Hearing this, Sun Hao raised the corner of his mouth. Come in, Miss Yiling. Yes, young master. Chapter 179. Young master, the dishes you cook are so fragrant. Here I come again. Su Yiling came forward, her cheeks slightly red. Miss Yiling, you are welcome. I'm very happy that you can come. Sun Hao said, to be able to obtain blessing points, I can't wait for you to come every day. Sun Hao secretly glanced at the blessing point panel and saw that the blessing point had reached more than 64,000. and he couldn't help but smile and nod. It seemed that there was no problem to reach 70,000 blessing points today. These days, Su Yiling contributed a lot. Young master, thank you. Su Yiling came forward, and after seeing Zhang Tianpeng, she couldn't help but look stunned. Young Master Zhang? Hello, Miss Su. Zhang Tianpeng nodded slightly. He stared at the pot of dragon meat and swallowed his saliva from time to time. Compared with him, Su Yiling was even worse. All right. Sun Hao lifted the lid of the pot, and the steam was steaming and the fragrance was overflowing. The boiling soup was as viscous as milk. The tender white tofu flipped in the hot water and emitted an alluring fragrance from time to time. Several hundred stalks of undying divine medicines merged with the soup. 100 different fragrances wrapped around the dragon meat, filling one's mouth with saliva. Eat, don't just stand there. This sound rose. Su Yiling was the first to pick up the chopsticks, picked up a piece of dragon meat, and sent it directly in her mouth, not caring about the hot temperature. Baji, the taste buds and cells in his tongue were all active. They were like greedy villains, crazily devouring. All kinds of tastes were mixed together, and it was just right. Waves of immortal energy flowed into his abdomen, turning into thousands of warm currents that flowed through his meridians and into his dantian. In the end, it was completely devoured by the Tao Tai in his dantian. Cool. At this moment, he was even hungrier. Without any courtesy, Su Yiling picked up another piece of dragon meat and sent it into her mouth. Beside her, Zhang Tianpeng looked at the pot of dragon meat, and his body trembled with excitement. This is dragon meat stewed from hundreds of immortal herbs. I never thought that I, Zhang Tianpeng, would be able to eat it one day. I'm indebted to the heavens for your grace. No, I'm indebted to the young master's grace. Zhang Tianpeng looked at Sun Hao, showing an extremely grateful look. Then he put the dragon meat into his mouth and began to chew. Fragrant, bouncy, soft, the dragon meat gave off the fragrance of tofu. With a light bite, all the cells in his body became active. An indescribable sense of comfort spread from his mouth to his entire body. This is too delicious. Zhang Tianpeng closed his eyes and quietly savored every taste. In the future, even if they were killed by the dragon race, they would have no regrets. Kacha! At this moment, the barrier between the realms shattered. Zhang Tianpeng instantly broke through to the four-step half celestial stage. A breakthrough. He broke through with just a small piece of dragon meat. Zhang Tianpeng murmured. It took him a long time to react. Seeing that everyone was working hard, he quickly calmed himself down. Looking at the tender white tofu in the pot, he scooped up a piece without thinking. Hua! When the tofu entered his mouth, it was tender and smooth. The unique fragrance of tofu filled his entire mouth. This is too delicious. Zhang Tianpeng closed his eyes and quietly savored the taste on the tip of his tongue. Young master, I've finally taken advantage of you again. Zhang Tianpeng murmured excitedly. The two elders beside Zhang Tianpeng were even more excited. Their expressions were even more excited than Zhang Tianpeng. Sun Hao looked at the changes in everyone's expressions, and the corners of his mouth raised a smile. In front of supreme cooking, no matter how strong you are, no matter how deep your background is, in the end, you still have to obediently bow down in front of the delicious food. Should I open a cultivation restaurant by myself? No, that's too dangerous. In case any big shot catches me and becomes a dedicated chef, wouldn't I cry to death? After I can embark on the road of cultivation, I will make plans again. Sun Hao nodded secretly, looking at the values that kept jumping on the blessing point panel, his eyes flashing. After a while, everyone touched their round bellies with a satisfied look. How could so many immortal divine medicines be digested at once? Are you all full? Sun Hao looked at the small pot of dragon meat and asked, Young master, I'm too full. Now I don't have to eat for 5 days. Zhang Tianpeng said, Young master, you cook so delicious. I really can't eat anymore. Su Yiling smiled. Quack. At this time, ducks called. The 9 heavens god Luan ran over quickly. Sun Hao scooped a bowl, and all the others were poured into the pond. Young master, we have eaten and drunk enough today. Thank you for your hospitality. We will leave first. Jean Tianpong stood up and saluted with his fists clasped. Young Master Jean, wait for me for a while. Sun Hao took out 5 unactivated boat cores from the wood carving room. Young Master Jean, I happen to have 5 unactivated ones here. Sun Hao handed the boat cores to Jean Tianpeng. Thank you, young master. Taking the boat cores, Jean Tianpeng's eyes flickered. You're welcome, young master. Then I will also leave today. Seeing that Jean Tianpeng and the others were about to leave, and Mo Haosher also stood up. And take care. Sun Hao watched the 3 leave. Young master, I'm sorry to eat and drink at your place, and I didn't bring you a gift. Su Yiling stepped forward, the corners of her mouth raised, revealing 2 shallow dimples, and her face was red. Miss Yiling, you are too polite. You can come, you think highly of me. Sun Hao opened the blessing point panel, looked at the nearly 70,000 blessing points above, and nodded secretly. Today, let's make a round number of 70,000. Thinking like this, Sun Hao's eyes stared directly at Su Yiling. Thank you, young master. Young master, I will also go down the mountain first. Su Yiling bowed. Miss Yiling, wait. Sun Hao shouted. Su Yiling's figure stagnated. Young master deliberately kept me. Is there any test? What should I do? My brain is stupid. Young master, don't test me. I can't stand your test. Who will help me? Master, why are you leaving? If only you were here. Young master, what else do you want? Su Yiling's face was bitter, showing a pitiful expression. I really hope that young master can say it directly. There is nothing. I'm going to give you a small gift. Sun Hao said. Hearing this, Su Yiling breathed a long sigh of relief. It was really scary. It turned out to be just a gift. This was much easier. Thank you, young master. You're welcome. Please come with me. Yes, young master. Su Yiling followed behind Sun Hao, frowning along the way. If young master let me choose, I must choose the worst one, and I must not be greedy. Thinking of the last time she chose the painting scroll with her master, she still remembered it clearly. This time, young master gave her a gift. Maybe there are other instructions. Soon, the 2 came to the carving room. Sun Hao pointed inside. Miss Yiling, you can choose any one of the small objects inside. Hearing this, Su Yiling's eyes shone. Sure enough, there was nothing to hesitate about. Yes, young master. Su Yiling took a big step and walked inside. Little girl, choose this old man. I will guarantee you to step into the immortal realm and be invincible in the world. Don't brag. Invincible in the world. Bah, little guy, if you want to choose this seat. Such a voice kept coming into Su Yiling's ears. Su Yiling raised the corner of her mouth and shook her head slightly. Seniors, young master asked me to choose. There is a test. Please do not cross. With this sound, all the sounds around disappeared. After hanging around young master for a long time, many big shots would talk to her. Unlike before, they would often use pressure to scare her. What should I choose? Su Yiling paced back and forth in the carving room, unable to make a decision for a while.